What is up, you beautiful heathens? You blasphemous people. Welcome back to the Raging Atheist. I sent out links to Dragnot, this one guy, and John. There's John. What's up, man?
Yeah, I'm on Discord with Drag right now. I'll be right with you. All right.
All right.
He's telling me something about the BHI. Can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear him.
You want a link?
I'm gonna send a link to the rabbi.
No, I'm just gonna watch right now. If anything interesting happens, then I might jump in. All right. Wait, are you going online, AJ?
Well,
Are you going online? Yeah, I'm going live on Modern Day Debates.
Yeah, we are live.
When?
oh shit, I'm sorry.
It's all good, man.
I'm sorry.
Hey.
Raging Atheist.
Hey, we're live. I'm listening to you on Discord, Drag, and Ragey just goes, "Hey, man, like we're live," and I got you blaring out my phone and shit. Hey, but so Dragnot, just so you know, you explained the whole deal with the, that issue with the BHI and G-Man bringing up the rape better than either one of them could, so thanks for doing that, man.
That's all. I was just getting ready to come on and explain.
All right, that's cool. Yeah, you should re-explain that when you come on. All right, see you in a minute. Bye. Boy, that makes for bad television. Sorry about that, Knock.
Oh, no problem, man. Hey, it was probably actually interesting for my audience. They got a little taste of Drag's Discord server where it's popping off.
Yeah. Oh shit! I didn't even disconnect from it.
Okay, let me get my keyboard right here. The rabbi might be coming in, so I'm going to email him, and he'll come in when he wants. And then anybody else, we can have up to 10 people. Highlight me. I will try to find it right now. I'm not looking at it, though. Welcome to the Raging Atheist After Show of Modern Day Debate. We got John. This one guy will be in a little bit. I am emailing the rabbi. G-Man, unfortunately, didn't want to come. I think he might have had a feeling Dragnot was going to be here. But I told him he's more than welcome to come. Not too hopeful, but he said he might watch. So what's up, everybody? I'm going to email the rabbi. Should have probably done this before I went live, but fuck it.
Is there? Hold on, let me get all my stuff straight.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Somebody's asking, is there a link to my Discord? Yes, it's in the PayPal. Hold on, let me put it out here. So actually, John's been visiting the Discord quite often lately, trying to steal our informations.
Yeah, John is he has more time than I do, I think. Although I think I'm gonna have more time now because I have a job. I just gotta wait on it. Shitty shit. So I'm gonna be like penniless by the time I actually start working again. So
Yeah, the other reason I have more time. Well, first of all, I don't have any offspring as you do, but I do help out my elderly parents, so that's almost the same thing. But the only reason I have more time is because I do nothing. Like yard work and work in my garden is about it, and then other than that, I can fuck around on the internet all I want,
Yeah, I see a light at the end of the tunnel. I think I'm going to be able to cut back hours severely in like a year, maybe a year and a half, about the time I'm losing my leg. But yeah, the rabbi is supposed to come in. This can get interesting because I really want to flesh out some of the I couldn't even really make much sense of where he was trying to go.
So I was explaining to John in the no problem, Nick. I was explaining to John and the others in Discord that the reason I brought up the rape question is because some of y'all were kind of like, huh? What did you even just call this guy a rapist? In the opening statement, it's like, where did that come from? So the what we refer to as the Black Hebrew Israelites, they come in different flavors, just like Christians have different denominations. But when you're referring to people that are Black Hebrew Israelite that have what's known as the rape doctrine, that's typically in groups of what's called the One West camp, and that's people from, I think it was a certain area in New York that was called or street, I think it was One West. And so that's where the genesis of groups like, I think like ISUPK began, and some of them have a belief that in some prophecy in the future that they're going to have some very young slaves and they're going to do things to these very young slaves. And so
I haven't found those videos yet.
yeah, no, you're not going to hear too many of them talk about it openly because it's kind of unsavory. But I can hook you up with some folks, some Christians who make it their goal to kind of debunk and to disabuse folks of some of these beliefs, because a lot of them are abhorrent. Like that's the rape doctrine is kind of just one of many, but that's kind of one of the most, I guess you could say, most well-known beliefs. But the guy that G-Man was speaking to, I didn't get the sense that he was from any of the One West camps. I may have missed it, but
yeah. Well, the first time I talked to him, I can't remember the Christian he was talking to that time, because this was my second time with the rabbi, just kind of coming in. And I don't. The only reason James even brings me into these things is just to have an atheist there, atheist faced. Like I'm not even there really to do much of anything, except for just smile and make weird faces, maybe ask a question. But yeah, the first time I talked to him, I really like hit him on that, like, you know, because I am familiar with ISUPK. That's the only thing that they're the only Black Hebrew Israelites I've ever covered. And I basically found out about them because of their claims that Native Americans are Jews. And that's what made me interested in them. And I found out about the racism and their views on women. And so I've been calling them out. In fact, I got a video on my Patreon right now. My Patreon is like suspended as they look at it, because I mean, it's ISUBK, and like, fuck, I probably shouldn't have put that on Patreon. So now I'm being looked at for like hate speech or some shit. Like, you know, I just started my Patreon, and because of ISUPK, one little video that I'm like, should I put this on YouTube or not? Now it's like, I might not have a Patreon no more.
yeah, I mean,
Hey, Nakasuchi, who's John Doe?
I'm not sure.
Is that the Reverend?
Oh, it could be. Yeah. Yeah. What's up, Rabbi?
Hey, what's up, guys? Aloha. My name is Rabbi Lewis. I can introduce myself. Sorry, I only asked for.
Could you turn the gain down on whatever microphone that you have?
Yeah, it's blaring.
Or just take it out of your mouth, maybe.
Sorry, can you guys hear me now?
That's quite a bit better.
Yeah, that's better. What's up, Rabbi? Thanks for showing up, man. This is awesome. Actually get a chance to talk and ask some questions.
Can I introduce myself? That's okay.
We got Dragnot and John here, and this one guy is a Christian. He'll be showing up. And usually more people will do. So anybody that wants to come in, feel free. If you want to ask the rabbi questions, feel free to come in.
Can I introduce myself?
Oh God.
Can I introduce myself?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Yeah, aloha. My name is Rabbi Lewis. I'm a published author. I've written over 10 books, some on the stock market, some on history. I'm an initiated rabbi. I'm a Shiite Muslim. I'm an academic and historian. I've been a vegan animal activist for 10 years, just to name a few things. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Cool.
Oh yeah, thanks for coming. I'm sorry, Wilson, $2. Just heard Dr. Josh Reed Poe doing his Kent Hovind.
Hey, Rabbi. Tongue in cheek, I have to say, I think I find the veganism the most objectionable.
If you want to learn about veganism, check out 80-10-10 by Dr. Douglas Graham. Check out The China Study by T. Colin Campbell. Check out Hunter Clark's work, The Cure for All Diseases. Check out Carl Zimmer's work, Parasite Rex.
Wait, whoa. Hold on. A Cure for All Diseases? Did I hear that right?
Yep, that's
Clark. She wrote a book called The Cure for All. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Could you slow? You speak way too fast, man. So it's really hard to catch what you're saying when you're just belting out lines like that. I hate the nitpick, but it's really hard to understand you when you're really loud. You're talking really fast. But you said that one of the books was A Cure for All Diseases.
Yeah, by Dr. Hunter Clark. I'm sure you've heard of her, right?
About Herbert Clark or Henrik Clark?
Dr. Hunter Clark. She's a woman. She died, but she was a parasitologist. She wrote a book called The Cure for All Diseases.
A parapsychologist?
Parasitologist.
Parasitologist. Okay, so a parasitologist wrote a book on basically the pathology of diseases and presumably how to cure them.
Yeah, she designed something called the Zapper, Zapper is a device that cures diseases. It destroys parasites. She says in her work that all diseases go back to having a parasite. Like if you have a disease, it goes back to having a parasite worm in the body.
Okay, that is demonstrably false.
I will, Sokka.
Well, I have a background in parasitology, and I'm prepared to talk about that.
You really? So if we talk about the genesis, like let's talk about tumorigenicity. So if you are exposed to something that ends up causing a mutation, right? Let's just use sunlight for instance. You get thymine dimers, and so in what case does a parasite play a role in that?
Right. So the medical textbooks say that if your stomach growls, that's gas.
I didn't ask anything about a stomach. I was talking about.
No,
like,
I'm making a point. I'm making a point.
Okay.
As a parasitologist, in any serious, in fact, most PhD courses only spend an hour on nutrition. Can you guys hear me?
I hear you.
Oh yeah, we can hear you.
Most medical doctors, when they take their medical courses, only spend an hour on nutrition. So they know nothing about nutrition. Doctors and medical doctors don't know anything about nutrition. And plus, if you go to a hospital, most of the time you'll see them eating chips, like like potato chips, right? That's my audio. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm still wondering what any of this had to do with the question I asked you.
Right. So here's the point. So the medical textbooks say that if your stomach growls, that's caused by gas in the body. But we know that's actually a worm. Got to mute your mic.
Okay, so that literally had nothing to do with the question I asked you at all.
No, the point is the medical.
Well, how about this? Instead of giving me a random piece of factoid that you pulled up that had nothing to do with what I asked, how about we address the molecular aspect of the disease, in particular, cancer?
Right. Let me just. Can I finish what I'm saying? If that's okay. So, because there's a lot of background. That's why I stopped. Because
there's a lot of background, but does it have anything to do with the question that I asked?
It does. So the medical textbooks say if your stomach growls, that's gas. But as a parasitologist, any serious parasitologist knows that's actually a worm inside of the body. The worms are cause for stomach growling. Now, if the medical textbooks came out and said that, it would cause mass hysteria. If people knew they had a worm inside of their body, that there would be mass hysteria. So they lie and tell people that that's gas when that's a worm inside of the body. That's actually a worm that causes stomach growling.
Could I ask a quick question with that? Which helminths, to your knowledge, are methanogens? You study parasitology, right?
I have a background in parasitology. I study parasitology.
So you know what a helminth is, right?
Yeah, if you want to explain that.
But why should I have to explain if you study parasitology and you're talking about worms in the stomach?
Hey,
Yep.
Can I interject something real quick too?
Go for it, John.
So yeah, something you characterized the information that doctor might give as a lie. Well, first of all, even if what you say is true, not all misinformation is a lie. So to characterize it as a lie is kind of fallacious. I mean,
I think
And real quick, I try to read these as they come up, and it kind of applies to where we started here. Sarah Slap chats with her super chat. Thank you, Sarah. The zapper is actually what I call my vibrator.
Hold on. So you
That's
made
funny.
a claim as to like the worm causes the growling in your stomach, which sounds like nonsense to me, but I'm no expert. And then you said that the explanation that a doctor would give was a lie. Well, even if it's wrong, you can't knowingly say that it's a lie, because a lie includes intention, and you can't.
Well, most to answer your question, most Americans believe only people who have parasite worms are people who live overseas, who don't have clean water and clean food. Most Americans think that they don't have parasites, but what they don't know is that 90% of people have parasites, not just people in third world countries. So the medical textbooks lie so to make people feel comfortable, so they wouldn't know about this.
Yeah, again, you're using the word lie when you can't know that it's a lie. It could just be wrong.
John, are you in the bathroom talking to your phone in the living room?
No, I actually stepped outside to have a smoke.
I was like, are you taking a shit, John, while you're in the hangout?
No, I brought my laptop up and put it.
Go ahead and make your pay. You're making a good point. I'm sorry, but
No, I got the end of my point.
Okay, I'm sorry. I cut Rabbi Lewis off. Could you please finish the point that you were addressing.
I know what saying is I have a background in parasitology, and I studied under Robert Kassar from EarthShipProducts.com. He's a parasitologist. He's a chiropractic doctor turned parasitologist, and most American only people who have worms live in third world countries who have not clean water and clean food. But it's a clinical fact that 90% of people, excuse me, hold on 1 second. 90% of people have parasites. You know what I mean, on the planet, like 90%. You know, that's all.
Is that it?
Yeah. Again, check out 801010 by Dr. Douglas Graham.
Okay.
Must read.
Okay, so have you spent any time in a lab or at all studying any of this stuff?
Oh yeah, like you know what an echoconfellogram is?
The what?
An echoconfellogram.
An echoconfirmaderm?
An echoconfellogram.
No, tell me.
EKG. You know, I know what EKG. Like you go to the doctor, get an EKG to test your heart.
Sure. It has to do with testing if someone has like a cardiac arrhythmia or something. What is that?
Yeah. So I'm not talking about the EKG. I'm talking about the ECG. It's a difference between EKG and the ECG. And ECG is like it's a device that tests life form. Like most juice is pasteurized. You know what I mean? When you pasteurize juice, they heat it up and then they put it in whatever it's a bottle, whatever you're drinking, and you put the EKG, the ECG edge tip in the water, whatever you're drinking, and on the other end is a light bulb. So if what you're drinking is alive, the light bulb will light up, right? If what you're drinking is dead, the light bulb won't come on.
So it's
this is like
charged through liquid.
Like say you're drinking orange juice is unpasteurized. The light bulb will light up. That means that the juice is alive still. The juice is still alive. It has electronic charge. If you put it in the orange juice and it's pasteurized, that the light bulb won't light up. You see what I'm saying? So the ECG tests electronic charge in liquids. Whether it's water, juice, tea, milk, whatever you're drinking. So if the echoconfellogram, if the light bulb lights up, that means the juice is still alive. There's life force in it. If it doesn't light up, that means there's no life force in what you're drinking.
There's no life force in the juice that you're drinking because the current will pass through it.
Because they pasteurize everything. Now, like raw milk is illegal. You can't sell raw milk. I think except for in California, you can't go to a grocery store and get raw milk. Raw milk is illegal. They pasteurize everything. So pasteurized juice is dead juice. It's not alive. It has no life charge in it. And we know that it has no life charge because you can do the echoconfellogram test by putting the tip inside the juice, whether it's milk, juice, tea, whatever, water. If it has life force in it, the light bulb will light up. If it doesn't, the light bulb won't light up.
That literally makes no sense at all. Because something carries a charge doesn't determine whether or not it has life. That is absolutely ridiculous.
Again, you can Google it. It's called the echoconfellogram. You can find it for like $600. And
you pay for a device that tests for life force in liquids by passing a current through it.
Yeah, that's why that is the
it's the midi-chlorians. Sorry.
That's the method behind raw veganism. Raw vegans like Douglas Graham, like Douglas Graham, for example, they don't eat anything that's cooked. Cooked food is.
Hey, Rabbi, does it also audit you and test for heathens?
And again, it sounds like you're echoing.
Yeah, John, we can't hear you, man.
Yeah, you're pretty far. Drag, when you get around to it, Saka wants you to bring up your point about DNA.
DNA. Oh, okay, yeah, because we kind of skipped over that. So you did make a claim earlier that you really failed to address, right? As a sort, all disease are from parasites, and I gave you. Do you agree that cancer is a disease?
Cancer is the worm inside the body.
I did not ask you that at all. I asked you if cancer was a disease.
Is cancer? Yeah, I think so.
Okay, you think so?
I think it'd be safe to say cancer is a disease.
Okay. Do you know what cancer is caused by?
Hold on. Can you guys send my mic? Hold on a second. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Cancer is caused by a worm in the body, which I can prove that.
A worm in the body. Okay, so the literally hundreds of thousands of people who have been found to have genetic markers of oncogenes that are known, like P53, that cause cancer. would you consider that?
Actually, who's the father DNA? What's his name? Since you studied,
That has nothing to do with.
I'm just gauging what you know.
Literally nothing to do with what I just asked you. At all. You've got 3 questions from me so far, and you've gone on a tangent. I would love at some point for you to actually answer my question.
Who was the father DNA? What's his name?
That has nothing to do with this conversation.
Okay, go ahead. Back on topic. All right,
okay, let's get back on topic. Okay, so people who have the genetic marker. I'll give you a perfect example. Breast cancer. We know that BRCA1, BRCA2, and P53 are known genetic markers for breast cancer, right? So what do you think of that? Does that have anything to do with parasites?
Right, and I think I explained this on James' show. There was a guy who was testing his ancestry. He had a petri dish. He had a dog, right? He put dog's saliva. He took a cotton swab of his dog's saliva, put it in the petri dish, and sent it to the genetic company at Ancestry.com. And the Ancestry.com sent him the lab results and said that his dog was Native American. Now, here's the point. The genetic company didn't know it was dog saliva. They thought it was just human saliva. But actually, the guy swapped his dog saliva and put it in the petri dish and sent it to the laboratory. So obviously, if his dog is Native American, the genetic companies are lying. They're lying in front of you.
Do you have a copy of this genetic test?
Yeah, I do have that. I have it. I'll send it to you if you want to look at
it. So, cool. Yeah. So how many chromosomes did it show on that dog?
No, this article is all over the internet.
This argument has actually been thoroughly debunked.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm asking in detail.
Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me now?
You're still kind of echoing.
John, no, you're like at the end of the room.
So John, the fact you've never actually seen the genetic test. You've heard the story of somebody else doing this. Correct?
Yeah, I heard this from a pretty reputable source. I'll give you that.
You heard this from somebody else. You've never actually seen the DNA test yourself.
I've seen the article. I have the article. I'll give it to you.
Article, but have you seen the DNA test itself?
I posted it all on the article. All on the article, all the tests.
So, how many chromosomes did that dog have? Did that sample have, I should say?
I'd have to go back and look. Honestly, I'd have to go back and look.
You have to go back and look. Okay, so I can tell you right now that there'd be a huge issue with that. Because you can bring up any anecdote, and like a lot of us have heard that story before. That is easily debunked. None of the primers would work on a dog unless we know that there are some homologs in there that we were searching for. That mice, for instance, have a lot of genes that we share in different locations, but there's a lot of genes that we share. But for you to say that there is somehow on the entire genome of that dog that they found certain SNPs in the same regions as humans is astronomically, literally freaking impossible. They don't have the same number of chromosomes we do. So I'm
can I say one thing? Can I find that? They found. I'll give you an example how fallacious this is. They found R1 markers, R1 genetic markers in Africa and Fulani, particularly the Fulani tribe. They found R1 B1 markers in the Fulani tribe, and we know the R1 markers is in Caucasian, is a European marker. So that's been yet to be explained by this genetic. Why the Fulani tribe have the R1 marker?
Hey, Rabbi, just real quick. Speaking of fallacious, just going back to what you were saying about this dog DNA sample, and you said that it got sent in and it came back as Native American DNA, and then you went on to say, so the DNA companies are lying to us. Well, okay, let's say that you're right, that there was a mistake on that test, and it came back with this crazy result that you're saying. That doesn't mean that all DNA companies are lying. You're making a sweeping generalization based on one anecdotal incident, and that's just completely fallacious.
They thought that was actually human saliva, but they didn't know that it was dog saliva. They didn't know that.
Right, but how does that translate to everybody is lying based on one test? How do you get there from?
How can a dog still come back Native American? You have to explain that.
So here's the issue. Do you hear the question that John's asking you?
Dog can't be Native American. I think we both agree.
Do you actually hear the question that John is asking you?
I granted your premise.
Something tells me you're not actually listening, Rabbi.
I heard him. He said just because. Go ahead.
No. Repeat his question.
He said just because that's fake doesn't mean they're lying. Generally speaking, I heard what he said.
Who is they?
The genetic companies are not lying just because that one case. I already said.
Okay, cool. So in response to that, you go back to that one country and generalize again. That was literally your response to that. So because you pointed out ancestry.com, how is that an indictment for African ancestry or 23andMe or any of the other other companies?
Or even an indictment for all the other work that the original company has done, just because there was one error.
Or you could literally Google this and find. I mean, I came across the debunking of this argument by accident. It was like thoroughly debunked. Like it's not even like an issue at all.
They're granting it I'm just trying to figure out why he's generalizing.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Can I respond to that?
Sure.
I mean, it's kind of, I don't want to go on topic. Yeah, for sure, I'm not going on topic, but just like people say, like, cause I'm a rabbi, Hebrew Israelite. Arthur Kosis wrote the 13th Tribe, which he was a pioneer in Jewish genetic studies, right? Has been debunked. And I asked most people, I asked them, did you actually read his book? And they'll tell me, no, well, I heard it was debunked, but I never read it. So most people who say that this issue has been debunked have never read the genetic test to prove they've been debunked and just repeating what they heard.
Okay, so again, let's kind of go back to the generalization. So we're going to grant the premise that ancestry.com is just null and void completely. They don't do anything right. How is that an indictment of 23andMe or ancestry.com, or excuse me, AfricanAncestry.com, or any of the other genetic testing websites, companies?
I never implied, nor did I ever insinuate that counts for every other company. That particular company.
You literally said
companies.
Somebody's lying. Somebody's lying. Go ahead.
Okay.
I think it just resonates with say something.
You want me to play back you saying companies, multiple?
You do know that most companies have the same database, right?
They have the same database. Really?
Do you agree with that or disagree with that?
I actually disagree with that.
Okay.
Why would they share a database when they don't share the same clientele?
Okay, so let me ask you, what is the best genetic DNA company that you would suggest will be the best?
It depends what you're looking for.
Like as a stock investor, I have a background in finance. As a stock investor, I can tell you the best broker to go to, which would probably be E-Trade if I would have a broker, right?
Okay.
As a geneticist, what company would you say is the best company to go to?
So I will answer that question. What are you looking for in a genetic test? Are you looking for options? Hold on, I will give you options to make this easier. Are you looking to find certain genetic markers, or are you looking for your lineage? Which of those two? Lineage. Ancestry.com.
Ancestry.com will be the best.
Currently.
Okay, what's the issue with 23andMe? I'm just wondering.
23andMe specializes in finding certain genetic markers, such as you being more predisposition for a certain type of cancer, or having a certain ability to metabolize caffeine or something like that. They specialize in finding certain protein coding sequences that would correlate to certain disorders or inclinations.
Just curious, don't they tell you when you do like what foods like you have a propensity to like sweets or like?
That's 23andMe.
Okay, that's 23andMe. Okay, good. Okay. Like I said, I read. Do you know since we got that out the way, who's the father DNA? Do you know?
It slips my mind, but I'm not sure how that's pertinent to this conversation.
Because I have his book, The Father DNA. If you don't know the Father DNA, look it up.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, what does that have to do with this conversation?
Because it's a must read. He wrote a book. He wrote multiple books.
Have you actually, while we're posturing, have you actually worked with DNA? Like physically work with DNA?
No, I've never physically worked with DNA.
So when you physically work with DNA, then you can recommend me books, okay?
Okay, no problem. But I've read.
Let's keep that posturing kind of to a minimum.
I've read his book. He's the Father DNA. I have his book. I have his work.
Cool.
Hey, real quick, Raging Atheist, are you able to go into the control room function on the Hangouts and turn the rabbi's gain down on his mic? Do you have that ability?
No, I don't have a control room.
Just yelling into. I mean, it's really kind of loud, just kind of a little bit loud,
Yeah, I tried to explain it in the chat. For some reason, when I got Hangouts, I was not able. I don't have the 3 little dots to get apps, and I don't have a control room, so I have no way to turn them down.
Okay.
I'm trying to work If you guys saw this morning, Zoom was a big failure. I'm working it out. It's going to get better.
It's fine. I mean, they took control room away a while because this platform is going away anyway.
Yeah.
But my issue is that I see a lot of people making claims about topics they know very little about. And to be fair, we all do it. But when we start talking about certain things that we have no tangible evidence for, we have no real skin in the game, it's kind of hard to make claims in light of real evidence. And so when I ask about and how cancer started, because there are parasitoids that cause cancer, I will say that, and I'll get into that later. But if we're talking about, let's just say skin cancer, for instance, you get exposed to too much UV radiation, boom, thymine dimers in your DNA, polymerase comes in, low fidelity, boom, nicks it, tries to make a correction, ends up making a mutation there or causing a mutation. That then just so happens to be in one of these regions that are proto-oncogenic, and it becomes oncogenic. It becomes a breeding ground then for cancer to be caused. Okay, so none of that involves a parasite whatsoever in most cases. That just involves the sun and your exposure to it. So when people start saying that all diseases come from parasites, there's demonstrable evidence that that is false.
They're lying to you, though.
Can I respond to that?
Go for it.
So there were a group of parasitologists, right? They found out that parasite eggs were they can't be destroyed with fire. They're fire retardant. So they were looking for a way to monetize parasite eggs with the local fire department because they found them to be fire retardant. So parasite eggs. So if you're cooking your food, the parasite might die, but the worms, the eggs inside the parasite actually causes worm eggs to grow. You know what I mean? And the Scarus lumbricoides, which is a clinical, it's a Greek word, a Latin word for a tapeworm. It's Scarus lumbricoides pushes out like 500,000 eggs a day. Literally, in the body, they kick out 500,000 eggs a day, and in our yield, these doctors trying to figure out how to monetize them with the fire department because parasite eggs are fire retardant. So when you cook your food, the worm might die, but the worm caused it to grow. They don't die through fire. Fire can't kill a parasite.
Okay, so when I asked about the genetic basis for cancer and its connection to parasites, you gave me a conspiracy about some medical something to deal with the fire department. Do I understand this right?
Yeah, I think I was pretty clear. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Excuse me, guys.
No, you were clear. It just didn't have anything to do with what I asked you. I asked you for so you know what genetic when I refer to thymine dimers, when I'm referring to oncogenes, I'm referring to genetics, right?
I don't believe in. I don't think much genetic information holds any water. I don't believe in genetics. Most genetic tests. I know
in genetics.
I know what.
Yeah. How do you not believe in genetics?
Even I'm like, what?
Let the rabbi answer. I'm sorry, this one guy. You've been patiently quiet. I appreciate it, but let the rabbi answer. Like, how do you not believe in genetics?
I don't think most genetic tests hold any water, and I'm speaking. I'm speaking from the perspective of a parasite, somebody who has a background in parasitology. I know most medical textbooks.
Okay, hold on. If you don't believe in genetics, what was the point of recommending that book to Dragna?
Yeah, Lucas Rodriguez is like, ask the rabbi if he understood these books, because if you read them but didn't understand them, what's the point?
There's literally no way that you are a parasitologist. One thing, when I mentioned what helminths are, you had no idea what that is, and that was my first hint. Second hint is, how do you think that we classify these things, these particular parasites?
You still didn't tell me what the father DNA was. I asked that 4 times.
Yeah, I know it's Francis Crick.
Yes, Athena.
He's one of the co-founders. He's the co-founder.
So that has nothing to do with this conversation. Okay, so if we're quizzing each other, how are different species of helminths classified? Take your time. Take all the time you need.
Nah, I'm gonna take my time with that. You can explain that.
Okay, so you do know that we do genetic testing to determine different species, right?
Oh, let me ask you: have you ever been in a laboratory to do this stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, he has.
Sure.
I-
I've tested my own DNA, actually. I've tested my own DNA. You want to see?
So what was your haplotype? What was your marker?
So, most people catch on. Most people catch on, but you, for some reason, didn't catch on.
Maybe that's too much information. Maybe you don't want to share. Maybe you don't want to share. Maybe that's too much information. So
Maybe it's too much information. Really, that's odd. So
maybe you feel like there's too much information. So let me ask you, what school did you go to?
what school? University of Houston, Clear Lake.
So what was your major?
My major is bachelor's in science and biology, with a specialization in cellular, molecular, and biotechnology. What about you?
So let me ask you.
I told you I'm actually less than a year away from my degree, my second degree. What's your education again?
I studied at Timbuktu Fix, the Sheikh Abatoba. I studied Arabic under Sheikh Abatoba. I'm an Arabic speaker, 8-year Arabic student. I'm a published author. I'm an initiated rabbi, and I have a background in parapsychology.
Are you Jill? Are you Jill?
No, he's not.
Oh no, he's definitely not Joe.
No. I know. I was just making a joke that that he's claiming he's all these things, and Jill does that. By the way,
so what does background in parasitology mean? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, naturopathy. You know what naturopathy is, right?
Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah. I think when he says he has a background of parasitology, I think he means that he had a tapeworm once.
Yeah, okay. So the fact that you didn't know what a health was my first hint. But I
had a question for you. Sorry, let me get you off. Because I know for a fact that most medical students don't spend any time on nutrition. Let me ask you, as a student of biology, how much time do you guys spend on nutrition in your courses?
So you did hear my degree, right?
You said you had a background in biology, right?
Right.
So how much time do you guys spend on nutrition?
I am not a pre-med student, so nutrition isn't a part of my curriculum. Do you want me to tell you what my curriculum is like?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please.
Okay. So lab for the eukaryotic gene expression, right? Biochemistry, organic chemistry, bioinformatics. I'm trying to think of the other one. Oh, lab for biotechnology, tissue culture, microbiology. Those are my courses. And advanced cancer biology. I almost forgot that one.
Okay, great. So my background is not in biology. My background is in naturopathy. I'm a naturopath.
Wait. So you have a background. Hold on. You have a background. You told me earlier you had a background in parasitology, but your background is not biology. You do know that parasitology is a subset of biology.
Naturopathic parasitology.
That makes no fucking sense.
What is naturopathy? What is a naturopath? Do you know?
Oh my God. So my understanding of naturopathy are people who believe in the homeopathic natural remedy bullshit. So they
hold on. You have a tattoo. That means you can't get blood, right? Am I right?
That has nothing to do with me not being able to get blood. Of course.
Is that true or is that not true?
So when you first get a tattoo, there's a certain amount of time you have to wait before you give blood. But you can give blood after like a year.
Right after, okay, go ahead. Back on. So you was explaining what a naturopath was. Go ahead.
So the homeopathic, the natural remedies nonsense, that's all taught during this curriculum, we'll call it that, for people who believe that nature can provide everything as is to heal someone.
Yeah, you have incredible naturopaths like Terrence McKenna. I'm sure you've heard of him. He's an incredible naturopath. Naturopaths like Truth Calkins and
contemporary of Dr. Sebi.
I've heard of Sebi. I've never studied his work.
Same nonsense.
Yeah, I hate to keep bringing this up, but Rabbi, is there any way you could move your microphone away from your mouth? I mean, it's just, even the people in the chat are just like, man, you are just way too loud, man. Like, I mean, just move it away from your mouth. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, and don't, please finish your conversation with Dragnot, but I definitely got some Native American questions for later. Go.
You would call Dragnot. So you would classify natural as bullshit.
Yes.
What is the catalyst for that? Like, what was the catalyst? You calling it bullshit?
Part of the issue for many naturopaths is that they rely on the fallacy of appeal to nature. Well, if it's in nature, then it's inherently superior to anything synthetic, man-made. That's one of my biggest gripes with that. It's like, well, uranium as is not very helpful or healthy for people. I can't say helpful. It's not very healthy for people. So this presumption, what I consider overarching presumption by a lot of these guys, is detrimental to them ever really helping anybody as far as their medicinal needs. Now, that's not to say that there aren't non-pharmaceutical ways to alleviate symptoms or cure stuff, but by far and large, we have this whole medicine thing down pretty well now with the things that we have refined.
Pastor, can you name some naturopaths outside of Dr. Sabi?
I've seen some here and there. I'm in a few anti-vax groups that I like to peruse from time to time, so I encounter many.
You just give us 3 names.
I couldn't give you 3 names off the top of my head. Do you have certain names?
That's exactly what I anticipated. You don't even know any naturopaths, but you shoot down that.
You named Dr. Sebi earlier.
I said outside of Dr. Sebi.
Let me interject something here that pertains to what you're talking about. Okay, so you're talking about naturopathy. Dragnot is talking about the science that takes things from nature and puts them into other forms, from medicine and cures and things of that nature. But you got to remember one thing is that we all come into this world alone, okay, and everything's already right here. So everything basically is air quotes naturopathy because they're taking things from the earth and making it into the medicines and treatments and whatever, So
the problem, John, the problem with that is that there's a kind of a prevalent thought amongst a lot of these guys is that, well, when you're going through the refining process, when you're packaging things like this, for instance, aspirin, and you can go to the bark of that tree and just eat the bark if you wanted to. Well, there's a whole lot of cellulose there that you don't need, that you're not going to be able to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Effect. But for a lot of these folks, you have to. Well, if y'all are not familiar with what happens, there's a coating that goes on the actual medicine, active ingredient, and that's just dissolved later, and then the active ingredient goes on to do whatever it needs to do. A lot of people feel that coating somehow takes away from what the medicine is supposed to do and ends up inadvertently poisoning you. And there's a lot of people who believe that with no education in chemistry at all, no education in immunology or any of that stuff. So
basically they're making an argument from ignorance. You got to eat it fresh from the planet. It can't be altered in any way, and that's just ridiculous.
It's an appeal to nature, is what it is essentially.
Yeah. Okay.
You want to respond, Rabbi?
Nah, I was gonna, but I don't want you to.
Nothing else? I mean, I still haven't gotten my original question answered.
Well, so I was disrespectful, so I won't say it. But anyway, so you couldn't name, which I anticipated. I said it twice, that you couldn't name another naturopath outside of Dr. Sebi, which doesn't surprise me.
Okay, cool. All right. So is there someone's work that I can review? And when I say work, they've gone through like the peer review process, right? Where they've had
Dr. Heather Clark Dr. Heather Clark was a naturopath, but she's also an MD. She also had a PhD and an MD in medical science. So she became a naturopath. And for people who say cancer, well, zapping doesn't mean you're gonna live forever. You know what I mean? So you're gonna die about. I mean, it'll help you. It doesn't mean you're not gonna die. Like it's so she did die, but
the issue here is that do you have any actual like peer-reviewed work from this doctor where she has put forth the effort to conduct experiments and to record everything that she and whoever else in her lab did, as well as the notes on how to construct this supposed machine and its mechanism of action and all that good stuff?
Yeah, she wrote the book called The Cure for All Disease, which explains how to make your own zapper. She gives the exact science how to create your own zapper model.
I said her actual research. If she's a PhD, MD, she had to write a thesis, did she not?
The entire book is about how to design your own. That's why you have so many
zappers. Write a thesis to get her PhD. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so she is familiar with the peer review process, correct?
There's like a dozen different zapper models out on the market because
is she familiar with the peer review process? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. Cool. So she knows what it is. She knows how it works. She needed it to get her PhD. Why did she not put this product through the peer review process as when she did when she got her PhD?
Zapper models are peer reviewed.
They are. So you can link me right now. You can link me right now to a peer-reviewed journal, or excuse me, a peer-reviewed a paper on this product.
Hold on, can I finish what I was saying? It's probably about 20 different zapper models. They all come from Hudler Clark because Hudler Clark wrote a book on how to design your own zapper. So you have pioneers and that who came behind Dr. Hudler Clark and designed their own zappers and monetized their own zappers. But they all got it from Hudler Clark's work, where she explains how to create your own zapper in her books. That's why there's so many zapper models out there. There's like 20 different models.
Okay. Did I ask you about any other models at all? Did I say anything about that?
I'm done. Go ahead. You got the
floor. Did I ask you anything about any other models?
No, I just want to make that clear.
Okay, cool. So let's get back to my actual question. My question was that where is her peer-reviewed study on this product?
If we could screen share right now, I mean, I could take it.
Or you can put it in the slide chat and I'll screen share it.
Okay, I'm on my laptop. I don't have to go click out and click in, but
yeah, I mean, maybe you could tell me the search term and I'll find it.
Yeah, can you just type in Hudler Clark? Maybe I don't know. I don't want to derail I don't know what the topic was. So
yeah, I mean, if you're on your laptop, you can we can share your screen, so you can easily show us.
Nah, I'd rather him do it. Hudler Clark. I try to get it right now because. What is that for my? Say it again, brother.
SynchroZap.
That's not her model. That's somebody else's model. Somebody.
Hulda Clark.
Yeah, Hudler Clark. Yeah, if you want to, can you read her bio?
The first thing that I typed in. Okay, let me do. I did Herbert, but let me do Hulda Clark Zapper study. First thing that comes up is bizarre claims of Hulda Clark on QuackWatch.
Now, if you type in Hudler Clark, can you read her bio for us?
I'm not trying to find her bio. I'm trying to find the actual peer-reviewed paper in which she explained the mechanism of action for this product. I was very specific what I was looking for. I held her to the same standard of anybody else in that field, the same standard, and I'm not seeing anything at all. I'm seeing there's a Wikipedia page. There's QuackWatch up here. There's alkalizforhealth.net. I'm not seeing anything that would indicate that she has any actual documented research on this product.
Oh my God! Just type in Hudler Clark.
I literally typed in Hulda Clark Zapper study. That's literally what I typed in. First thing that comes up is QuackWatch. You want me to share my screen?
No, I know. I already know everything. I've written books about Hudler Clark's work.
You wrote books about it. Did you go to her study and write these books?
I have her studies in my book.
You have her studies in your book. So So is it on NIH? Is it on Google Scholar? Where is the actual study?
It's on Amazon.com.
It's on Amazon. So she's selling the study on Amazon. So tell me this: since when do peer-reviewed studies appear on Amazon and aren't available in repositories that hold peer-reviewed studies? Since when they started doing that?
Amazon started by a guy named Jeff Bezos.
I don't care who started it. I'm asking you, on Amazon and not in a repository.
I'm a published author.
I don't care what you are. That's not what I'm asking you, my man.
I've written books.
You're dodging it. You keep dodging all my questions. I'm
I've written books on
next, but I want you to get back to what I'm asking you. You let me know when you're done with these red herrings that have nothing to do with the conversation.
The only point I was making is that I'm a naturopathic parasite.
I don't care. I literally don't care. I'm asking you something very specific. Very, very specific, man.
You got the floor. You got the floor, man.
Okay, cool. You understand what I'm asking you? Okay, so if I go to a repository with peer-reviewed studies, why won't I find hers?
5-minute. You think you know? Did you didn't find anything? You did a 5-minute Google search. Are you serious?
I'm asking you where you want me to go. I gave you NIH. I gave you Google Scholar. Which one of those you want me to go to?
Type in Dr. Clark cure for all diseases and read it. Read what it says about that.
So I'm asking you for the study, and you're giving me the damn book again. I want the peer-reviewed study. I don't want the book. I want to go straight to the source. She has a PhD. You've already acknowledged that. You've already acknowledged that she's familiar with the peer review process. So you know that she knows what that is. So she needed that in order to get the PhD. So I'm asking you, why can I not find her research on this product? And you keep deferring me to everything else but what I'm asking for. Is there a reason for that? The silence is deafening.
No, because I'm looking it up. I'm trying to pull it up on my phone. I don't want to.
Take your time, because I want to see this research.
Yeah, Drag, the chat is asking if you'd share your screen. You can if you want.
Yeah, I'll share it. I got to get rid of porn. Hold on. All right. So
No. We want to see. Go ahead. No.
You know how to white box me? Okay. So I type in Holder Clark Zapper study. First thing that comes up.
Okay, here's what I need you to do. I need you to Zapper study. Go to the Wikipedia article. I'll read it.
Go to the Wikipedia article. The Wikipedia article now. I asked you for
Wikipedia articles are peer reviewed now, huh?
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to Wikipedia. Man, look at that.
Just no. Yeah. No. Yeah. I'll go down to where it says background. I think it is.
Hold on. Okay, is this what the study is?
Yeah. Go ahead. Start right there. What's his background?
Clark began her studies in biology in the University of Saskatchewan, Canada, where she was awarded bachelor's in arts. Wait, the bachelor's in arts and master's of arts degrees. Hold on. Okay. After 2 years of study at McGill University, attended University of Minnesota. Okay, studying biophysics and cell physiology. All right. She received her doctorate degree in 1950. That's quite a jump. Geez. In 58 from the University of Minnesota. Her own biographical sketch states her degree was in physiology, but her graduate school's registered PhD degrees conferred by the University of Minnesota in July 1959, June to 1966 states that she received her PhD in zoology. Oh, that's interesting. In 1958. Her thesis was entitled "A Study of the Ion Balance in Crayfish Muscle, Evidence for 2 Compartments of Cellular Potassium." Now, the fact that the university is saying something different than her own biographies, that's very interesting.
Well, that's just treatment claims.
So hold on for a second, because that's already one inconsistency. She's claiming something in her own biography that the university has already acknowledged it ain't true. Her background's in zoology. Zoology. You know what that is?
Gotta study animals. Go down to
she's studying animals, in particular crayfish. She's studying. I want you to acknowledge she's studying crayfish animals, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Is she studying diseases?
It says treatment claims.
Okay. No. Is she studying diseases? Answer my question.
About to see it now.
Okay. I'm asking you right here, where it's talking about that PhD you mentioned. Is she studying diseases?
Yeah.
Really? So the sentence that I just read said diseases. Where was that at? Did I miss it?
I'll finish me in treatment claims. We go back.
So, you want me to skip a paragraph and drop to the stuff that she claims?
You can finish reading if you want to. I just want to get to the point. Okay. I know.
We can get to this, but I want to stop right here and acknowledge what's on the screen here.
I acknowledge.
Do you have a problem with acknowledging what's here?
No. Keep reading.
Okay, cool. So it says right here that July 1959 to June 1966, she received a PhD on zoology. Excuse me, that was the PhD in zoology was obtained in 1958. The 1959 was the claim previously in physiology. So she received a PhD in zoology in 1958. And her thesis was the study of the ion balance of crayfish muscle, evidence for 2 compartments of cellular potassium. Now, did any point in time with me reading all that, the word disease pop up?
I have to see that. Keep reading.
Okay, no, I'm asking you about this sentence I just read.
But you're going to see that. Keep reading.
So did disease pop up at any point in time?
Yeah, you're going to see it.
Yes or no question?
No.
No. Okay, cool. So it took you 5 minutes to tell me that the word disease did not occur in that sentence. That's awesome. So let's move on. 1979, Clark left government-funded research and began private consulting on her own research. From 2002 until her death, she operated the Century Nutrition Health Clinic in Tijuana, Mexico, where her focus was primarily on late-stage cancer patients. Now, you tell me, does a degree in zoology give you knowledge in cancer biology?
I have to see. You got to keep reading, brother.
Okay. So I'm asking you about the degree in zoology. I'm asking you about the degree.
Yes, it does. You're gonna find out in a second.
So it does. So studying crayfish. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm just making sure, because there are model animals that you can study that we use. Zebrafish, for instance. You know, there are mice that we use as models all the time.
Well said. Well said.
Okay, so I'm asked. So I opened that up for you to correct me on that, and you didn't. So okay, Clark and her son Jeff separately owned businesses. Her patients separately owned businesses. Her patients and others used, including a restaurant, her self-publishing company, and a self-help store that sold her inventions. Her son continues to operate the self-help store. She published several books, including The Cure of All Cancers, The Cure for HIV/AIDS, and The Cure for All Diseases. According to the civil court records, her books generated over 7 million in sales, and by 2002, although Clark disputed this figure, she held a naturopathy degree from a defunct Clayton College of Natural Health, a school lacking accreditation from any accreditation agency recognized by the United States Department of Education. That is great. That is awesome. So now this gets into some treatment claims. And so she claims that there's you can eliminate organisms from your body using herbal or electrical means, removing pollutants from the diet, cure diseases, and it goes into type of flatworm that can cause all cancers and many other diseases are caused by this flatworm. That's cute. So the adult fluke stays tightly stuck in our intestines or liver, causing cancer, or uterus causing endometriosis, or thymus causing AIDS. What? Or thymus causing AIDS, or kidney causing Hodgkin's disease. And this is a quote here. I have found that cancer, HIV, diabetes, endometriosis, Hodgkin's disease, Alzheimer's, lupus, MS, and universal allergy syndrome are examples of fluke disease. That's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. So, and you've read her book, correct?
I own her book.
Have you read it?
Dang.
Have you read it? I didn't catch that.
What do you think?
No.
I own a zapper. I've had over 4 zappers. I've zapped worms myself.
That's cool. So when I mentioned,
I'm not sure what I read. Hold on, I'm not sure what I read. I've had zap parasite in my own body.
I'm pretty sure you did zap yourself. I don't doubt that at all. At what point in time did you realize that this lady had a background in zoology and did not have an actual background in pathology, especially of diseases? Like when we were talking about trying to understand the genesis of certain diseases, especially cancer, you actually do need a bit of a background to understand that.
Can I respond to that?
Go for it.
So there's something called Coast to Coast Radio by George Nari. He invites like all academics and like anthropologists, like polymaths on the show. And there's a guy named Carl Zimmer who wrote a book called Parasite Rex, which pretty much says that parasites control the human psychology and the psychology of nature. And they named the parasite after this. He would be classified as a zoologist, but they named a parasite after Carl Zimmer. You know what I mean? He's a marine life form, and the parasites in life form. And his name is Carl Zimmer. He's very popular, and he wrote a book called Parasite Rex. Also, there's another book by called Your Mind on Parasites. I forgot who wrote it, but just check it out. It's called Your Mind on Parasites.
Do you at any point in time read anybody's actual research?
Name of the
Taking
woman.
Taking too long to answer that one.
I mean, like, because I'm not interested in people's books. I'm interested in their research. Do you actually read people's research? That's a yes or no question.
It's called Your Brain. This is Your Brain on Parasites: How Tiny Creatures Manipulate Our Behavior and Shape Society by Kathleen.
So you're gonna ignore it and then
Kathleen
talk about
McCauley. Kathleen McCauley wrote "This Is Your Brain on Parasites." It's
okay.
a must read.
Okay, cool. Do you actually read anyone's actual research?
You mean I've read Kathleen McCauley's work, Your Brain on Parasites. I've read
actually read anyone's peer-reviewed research, as in a study.
Yeah, and I have the Father DNA's book. You didn't even know the Father DNA was. You had to look it up.
Okay, so you're not going to answer
biology, and you didn't know who the father of DNA was? Are you serious?
So I'll ask again.
You look like a smart guy, but I mean, I'm like surprised you didn't know about that.
Oh man, tell me. So when I mentioned helminths earlier in the conversation, you didn't realize I was talking about the worms you mentioned. That was a testament to your knowledge.
What is the scariest? What is the
so modern? Because I said I mentioned helminths for a reason, because I can spot charlatans. I'm pretty good at this, by the way. There's a reason I did that. And there's a reason why you take longer and longer to answer direct questions. You know that, right?
I'm not looking anything up. I'm not
either. I have two screens up. So as we see me looking, I'm looking at my primary screen. My hands are down here. You'd hear me typing because look, if you actually look down here, you see how close that is to my actual microphone. So you'd hear me typing. So I'm looking stuff up all day long.
Let me ask you a better question.
No, I mean, I want you to answer my question first. Do you actually read anyone's actual research? It's a yes or no question.
What is peer review? Can a book be? Let me ask you. Can a book be considered peer review research?
No.
No.
Book can contain peer reviewed research. A book is not peer reviewed research.
Right. The second thing. I'm sorry. Yeah. Can it contain peer review research? Yes. No.
It's not. A book usually contains truncated peer review research. You can't put all the figures and stuff in there for a wide audience. Research is primarily for people looking to peer into something that has something to do with their own research. Lay people typically don't read research. That's why I'm asking this question.
Like I said, I've written over 10 books. I know. Have you ever written
studies? And you can ask that question.
I know.
Hey, John, you are the rabbi of obfuscation. I mean, if you can answer a direct question, I will literally shit my pants.
It's interesting how many questions you dodge, and I'm not asking you hard questions, but you're really good at not answering them. I mean, you can tell me how many books you read, you can tell me what you think about a topic you know literally nothing about, but when I ask you a really pertinent question, do you understand this topic on an intimate level, as in read the research and comprehend it, no less? You don't want to answer that. You want to go into something else. Is there a reason for that?
Well, on-hand experiences. I've bought and owned $200 Zapper models.
That's cool. That's so cool. So have you read any actual research?
Yes, I read Dr. Helen Clark's books. I've read
Again, a book is not research.
Book is not research. Oh my God. I don't even
so let's do this. So the book contains
Let me ask you a question. How many books have you read cover to cover?
Oh, I couldn't tell you, man.
You gotta run. Well, give me a ballpark number.
I would say that he's read thousands of books from cover to cover, if I had to guess.
No, not really. No. I need to do, actually, speaking of reading books, there's somebody in the chat. I need to finish reading this book you got me, man. I need to finish.
Holy shit.
This is Gödel Escher Bach, An Eternal Golden Braid by Douglas Hofstadter.
Look, Rabbi, check it out. Okay, so what Drag is asking you, okay, books are fine, and it's awesome to hear you read books. Reading is fundamental and all that. But what Drag is asking you, okay, so a scientist does research, and then typically they will put out a paper showing the results of their research. And then other scientists will take that paper, they will digest it, and run their own testing, and then they will put a paper out on their results. And it's not a book, it's a scientific paper of the results of testing. And he's asking you, have you ever read the actual paper from the results of peer review or from the testing that a scientist has done?
Of course, I read. I think I said this in one of my interviews with people who are not familiar with my work. Anatoly Fomenko, brother Dragonite. You've heard of Anatoly Fomenko's work?
Who?
Anatoly Fomenko.
Nope.
Okay, yeah.
No.
I was like, hey, have you?
Huh?
I think he
Anatoly Flamenco's work?
No.
No.
No. Okay. All right. You know who is the father of modern chronology? Do you know who that is?
I don't know and don't care.
Dragna, do you know the father of modern chronology?
Why would that? What would that have to do with anything?
Look, are you talking about the skull reading nonsense?
What about?
Oh, you're saying phrenology? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Dragna just said the skull reading nonsense. What was he talking about?
Yeah, are you talking about the skull reading stuff? Because it's hard to understand.
No, what are you talking about? What were you trying to say?
All right, the field that you're referencing, is it skull reading? Like read like, huh?
That craniology, you mean?
Yes, is that what you're talking about?
No, Anatoly Flamenco is a mathematician.
Oh, the name sounds familiar.
The point is, I read his clinical study. He's a mathematician. I'm an historian. He's a mathematician.
A mathematician did a clinical study. Yeah.
Hold on. Do you guys know who the father of modern chronology is?
Oh, I don't care. Wait, you read a mathematician's clinical studies?
What, on seven-ishness, or like he did a clinical study on what? Like a clinical study on abacuses? Like
hold on. Who's the father of modern chronology?
I don't know how many angels dance on the head of a pin. Like you can. What are these random tangential?
Yeah, like
anything that we're talking about?
Have you ever read Wheel of Time?
Quiz each other. I got some questions for you.
No, the father of modern chronology.
I don't. How does that have anything to do with the field or stuff that I'm studying?
I mean, what student of history doesn't know that?
I'm a student of history.
When did I claim I was a student of history?
Right now, you wouldn't call yourself a student of history. You would not.
When did I claim that I was?
I do. This is my first time talking to you. I don't know what your background is, so that's why I asked.
How about you not presuming I'm a student of, unless I tell you?
I don't understand.
Go ahead.
Oh man, I'm confused.
Well, I mean, there's so many tangents here. I mean, it'd be fun if we could stay on topic. That'd be awesome if we could actually.
I'd like you to kind of address what Dragnot's saying to you, so I can get to see where some of your thoughts on my peoples, which would be Native Americans. So yeah, I would really like you to I don't know, because all of these books are nice. Like, all right, man, I'll have to go read some crazy shit I ain't never heard of before. but like, he's asking for research. It's like it has nothing to do with the conversation we were at. It's just like you're trying to see if we know the names of all these books and these people that for some reason you've researched. I don't understand what's relevant.
Well, you know what it is though, Knock? It's because every time Drag, and to a way lesser extent myself, asks the rabbi a question that he doesn't want to or cannot answer, he says, squirrel. That's basically what he's doing.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm getting. Like, it just doesn't seem like this has anything to do with what Dragnot's trying to get from you. And I think he's addressing, your belief system, or at least what you claim. So I don't know. I'm just confused. I need to smoke more weed.
I love to discuss this whole Indian thing. Whenever you guys have a time.
Yeah, my question. So
Dragonite. I'm just wondering, do you consider yourself a student of history? Yes or no?
No, I'm a student of biology.
So you don't consider okay? All right.
No, so I don't study history. So why would I consider myself a student of history?
Why don't you study history?
Because I'm studying biology.
You can't study two things at once.
No.
Hey, Rabbi. Hey, Rabbi. Oh, sorry. Hey, Rabbi. What incident precipitated the First World War?
Issue. Who was a part of the World War One? I'm pretty well.
No, I said.
John.
I mean, it's World War One.
Wait, he. No, hold on for a second. He just called himself a student of history. John asked him a question: what precipitated the First World War? He doesn't even know who was in the First World War.
Maynard smoke weed every day.
Hold on. Let me ask you. John. Let me ask you a question, John.
Sure.
What is the Victory Tax Act? Do you know what the Victory Tax Act is?
Okay. Hey, Rabbi, I'm not, again, just like Dragnot, I didn't claim to be a student of history. You're the one who uttered the words, I'm a student of history, just a few moments ago. So that's what hold on, Rabbi, hold on. So I asked you one of the simplest questions of historical reference, and you can't answer it. So you are not a student of history.
Yeah, I mean, and if you want to speak of history, do you understand where the myth of Native Americans being Jews came from? Because it's been proven thoroughly to be a myth. But do you understand where this myth came from originally?
Yeah, if I can respond to that when you're done.
I'm sorry?
When you're done, I'll respond.
Well, I'm asking you if you understand where the myth that Native Americans are Jews came from.
Yeah, I do. So there's something called the $5 Indian. You ever heard of that?
Go ahead.
You've never heard of it?
The $5 Indian?
Yeah, you know what a $5 Indian is, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Do you know what I'm saying? You're Nazi. Because you're Native American, you should know about the $5 Indian, right?
I'm asking you about, do you understand where the myth of Native Americans being Jews is? Do you understand where that came from?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but can somebody pull a $5 Indian? Can we look at that? If we got, I don't know if that's okay.
I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. For one, we don't like the term Indian. So you can know that we don't like that. I'm asking you where the myth, where did the story of Native Americans being Jews come from? You're a historian. You're a student of history.
Something called the $5 Indian. For those who don't know what that is, which I'm surprised he doesn't know, because he sounds like he loses a lot. The government went to these European people. Audio.
You're cutting in and out.
You hear me now?
Not really.
Dragonite, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Okay, so there's something called, do you know Ian Dragonite? You know what that is? I'm just wondering. I just want to know.
I don't study history much, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, I understand. I understand what he's saying. I don't understand why he's saying it or what it has to do with my question.
So okay, so let me do it. $5 Indian is.
I don't want. For one, you can just go ahead and call it a $5 Native American. But I don't understand what this has to do with my question. See, like this is the problem. Like, you never answered question. You never answered anybody's question.
That's your question. That's okay.
My question is, where did the myth of Native Americans being Jews come from?
Right. So there's the $5 Native American, because he's offended. The $5 Native American is the government went to these Europeans. They were not real natives. They said, we want you guys to sign up on this paperwork and say you're native. So they paid them.
That's not where the myth came from.
Yeah, it is. Type in $5. Can we look at this real quick?
It's not where the myth came from, but go ahead.
So the myth of the Native American being Israelites, Native Americans came from the Tartar people. Now, do you know what a Tartar is?
I believe so.
Where's the Tartar? Where did the Tartar people come from?
It would be somewhere down south, South America, I think. No, so I'm going to tell you where it came from, because I don't want to hear, like, I've heard this shit. I hear this shit from the ISUPK. I've studied them extensively. All you're doing right now is pissing me off. All right, cool. So I'm going to educate you. Okay. It came from shortly after Columbus found the Native Americans. And a guy named, I'm going to butcher his name. I have it written down because I always butcher his name. But yes, you know what I'm speaking of. So you know how to answer this question, and yet you don't. And I find that very interesting. Because, the Bible didn't speak of them. So this myth became These people that the Bible didn't speak of must be the lost Israelites. But the lost Israelites were scattered throughout the land. That history shows that. And if you're a student of history, as you claim, then you would know this. I shouldn't have to explain it to you, and you shouldn't be dodging my fucking questions. Giving me a fucking runaround like I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'll be back. Meet the rage.
I guess he lives to his name, the Raging Atheist.
Anyway, is there a particular reason why you don't answer direct questions? Is there a reason for that?
Hold on,
He likes parables.
Can we look up $5? Can you screenshot this $5 Indian thing? I show where to go because
if you just explain what it is instead of just doing all this posturing.
Can you just type in $5 Indian? I'll show where to go. Can we look at this for the crowd? People like, what the hell is a $5 Indian?
Okay, literally everyone watching can look it up on their own. If you just kind of get to the point, that'd be better. I literally have all night.
Yeah, his mic died.
Maybe.
The Europeans were paying, the government paying European people to claim to be Native Americans, and were paying them to call themselves natives. That's why a lot of white people think they're Native Americans, because they descend from these $5 Indians who were being paid off to call themselves Native Americans. So if you look white and think you're Native, you're a descendant of a $5 Indian. These $5 Indians were being paid by the government to claim on paper to be Indians.
Do you think this is the first fucking time I've heard that shit? Do you think this is the first fucking time I've heard that shit? You know what? You can get the fuck off of my channel. You're not welcome here. You think this is the first fucking time I've heard that shit? You fucking racist motherfucker. I mean, seriously? You think this is the first time I've heard this shit? This is what I want to confront you about, your racism. But you just... Goodbye. Fuck that guy.
I was about ready to say, and you hopped right on.
Well, hey, Rage, I mean, don't even worry about that dude, man. He proved himself. I mean, Dragnot just exposed him for what he is. I mean, he's an idiot, and
it's nothing new. He didn't want to address the fucking question, so he goes to attacking the skin color that he sees and doesn't realize that I've explained it fucking thoroughly. And you're a coward. You're a fucking coward if you can't just fucking answer. He wouldn't answer Dragnot. He wouldn't answer you, and he wouldn't fucking answer me. And he knew the fucking answer. He proved he knew the fucking answer.
Right. You started to go into it, and then he told you the name that you were you were going to try and pronounce, and then all of a sudden he came out with it. Yeah, that kind of blew my mind. Hey, I want to address something real quick from the live chat. Now, Skyout's in the live chat, and he made the statement, "Oh, yeah, you guys ask him all these random questions, and all of a sudden he can't answer them, so he's an idiot or something, you know." And I said, Skyout, he's the one that claimed he was a student of history. Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean that he knows everything. Listen, Skyout, the question I asked him about history was like a 5th grade question. Okay, so I don't know what your problem is. He wasn't answering any questions, and then he wants to claim he's an expert in history. He wants to claim he's an expert in several things that Dragnot knows a hell of a lot more about, but then he can't back it up with.
I should have booted him out because I was enjoying Dragnot. I was trying to save that for the end because I knew he was going to piss me the fuck off. Every ISUPK person that I have spoken to has completely dismissed me as which and you know, I don't blame him because I don't look it. You have to look hard. I don't blame him.
You can't let that stuff get under your skin, man. Like when you talk to these guys,
don't let it.
I mean, I'm not trying to be patronizing or anything, but that's one of the things that I learned early on is that because I got annoyed too. Like it's one thing to kind of, lose your cool, but when you want to put yourself in this position, to have these conversations with folks who have beliefs that are, really hurtful to some degree, you have to really hold that in and just.
Oh yeah, like I regret booted. Like that's an action I shouldn't have done because that's why I brought him here because that's the conversation I wanted to get to all night. It's and he knew exactly where to hit me. He knew it, like he was planning to hit me there. He knew where to hit me.
Well, that's a lot of these guys. They know what to say, but I've learned over the years that there's a certain type of person that comes on here that has these conversations, and it doesn't matter what it could be you and me and everybody else. It takes a certain type of person. These guys that like to play these little quiz games, I always have an upper hand in that because he didn't realize until I told him that when I mentioned the word hellmouth, that was a key for him to pick up on, to let me know whether or not he actually understood that, because hellmouths are what the classification for flukes and worms and stuff of that nature. They're called hellmouths. Anyone who's actually studied this topic understands that that's the name that they go by for the jargon. But that kind of tipped me off to let me know that he didn't really understand it. But as we continued to talk about it, and as I referenced it later, he became agitated because he knew that I exposed him to some degree. And so forcing these guys to answer direct questions is something that too kind of demonstrates that they don't want to actually engage in the conversation. It's more about posturing. It's more about how they can try and manipulate the conversation to make themselves appear a lot more intelligent than they really are. But
and then he comes out with like Drag asked him a specific question about genetics or about DNA, the conversation they were having, and he comes out with a question for Drag. He doesn't answer the question Drag's asked. Do you know who the father of DNA is? Have you ever read this book? He answering every question with a question.
Well, and that's what the ISUPK does. And in our first conversation on Modern Day Debate, I tried to nail him down to the ISUPK, and he would not go there. And he just showed that he's completely, he just, to me, showed that he is completely in their camp when it comes to the white devil and white hatred, and dismiss this guy. He's a white guy, not a real native. I've never claimed to be a real native. I've spoken about how I've been exiled. I've spoken about how little blood I have. I'm dominantly Irish. Like I've spoken about all of this shit. I've heard it a million times. I heard it when I got kicked out of fucking the training I was doing with John down in fucking Charlotte, my medicine man. And I've heard this shit 1,000 times. I've heard it a million times. Like when I was saying that I can understand discrimination, you see this white dude, but I get discriminated against. I got discriminated against when I got kicked out. I haven't been able to talk to any of my friends in 15 years since I left North Carolina. I knew he was what I thought he was, and he proved it to me. And I kicked him out before I really let him get a chance to prove it to everybody. Because if you follow, like you guys, if you've seen my ISUPK videos, and if you've seen the one that's on Patreon right now, then these are hateful motherfuckers. They hate, their hatred.
Yeah, I try to address some of the points. And leave out a lot of the negative connotations that they carry, because I want to get it as academic as possible, but that's not really true. I want to get to the core of how they approach these beliefs, how they substantiate them in a manner that most reasonable people could come to the conclusion if they tried. But it's interesting when you say, all right, well, let me adopt your belief. Let me try and conduct like an internal critique of some of these ideas. And they're not really consistent. It's really weird when you come down to it. But I invite, if he wants to have another conversation in which he actually wants to answer some questions and stop dodging, I would love to have another interaction with him, because I find him hilarious. It's not really much of a challenge, but
yeah, it was funny. Like when you was going at him, it was fucking funny.
I've not done that in a while. That actually that was pretty entertaining. But it's It's common. People who don't, know they don't want it. Like it's fine. Like it's several times in the conversation. I said, I don't know. Why don't you tell me? I have no problem telling someone I don't know something, but when people are more interested in posturing, you'll notice that they will avoid answering their direct questions. They'll avoid saying they don't know something. And that is a clear sign that it's more about posturing. It's more about trying to appear to have intelligence or to have an air of intelligence and being adept in your understanding than actually, being that. Oh, and by the way, John, I just got a text message. Could you speak up because it's hard for people to hear you?
Who, me?
Yeah, usually you don't have that problem, John.
Yeah, someone literally just sent me a text message.
What? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Let's see. North Africa, Augustine was a Tartar.
Hey, just real quick to all my fellow mods in the chat. Every time you see Sky Out pop up from his timeout there, put him back in timeout, would you please? Just for the night on. Just for the night only.
It's been a while since my audience got to see me rage, so that felt good. I've been kind of holding in the rage. It's been a while. I think Darth Dawkins' audience maybe. I haven't raged out on somebody like that in a long time. Holy crap!
Yeah, it's just too bad that you couldn't have held back for a little while longer because you could have slapped him around like a cat playing with a mouse.
He went right for that fucking.
You can't fall for it, man. You
can't. Yeah, he did. I don't think he wanted to go into the race discussion because he knew that he doesn't have any historical evidence for Native Americans being Jews. There's a little bit of DNA evidence with the Cherokee.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go down the whole freaking coming from Mongolia or some crap, and then he comes out with that shit. I was like, oh, maybe he's going to say something about how the land bridge from Alaska and people coming over from Mongolia, and then he went the other fucking direction. I was like, whoa, he had me licking my teeth. And then I was going to say something, you popped right in. I was like, what?
I heard him the whole time. I didn't go nowhere. I was just trying to take a breath because I was really about to cuss him out like I did DD. It just grates my nerves. It just grates my fucking nerves. Fucking these people, when I first found them and I started hearing the stuff they said about Native Americans, and trust me, Native Americans don't accept me. They don't. I had the medicine man I was practicing under and a few people that accepted me. Most of them was like, fuck that white dude. I was able to go onto the reservation in Cherokee and have my name changing ceremony, basically because John was fucking loved and got his way. If it wasn't for him, I would have never gotten that. I wouldn't even have the name Nakasuchi right now. So, I mean, I've dealt with this since the very beginning. Since the very beginning, but I mean, my mom, they have very detailed records, and I got my fucking shit, so I fuck them.
I never really engaged these guys on why they're so averse to genetic testing. Quite a few of them will mention, well, we don't trust the people doing the test. Well, I said, I'd love to kind of sneak in my African ancestry because many of them aren't listening to what I'm saying. And I'll have a litany of examples. I try to have at least 3 because, again, they're not paying attention. But I'll slip in one that does not match their purported reason for being averse, because, well, there's certain people out there who don't want us to know our true history. Well, a guy, Dr. Rick Kidder, is actually specializing in helping African Americans find their African ancestry. And if you look up African ancestry, that's literally his website.
Yeah, they had to dismiss that information, Dragnot, because it disproves everything they say.
Well, they don't have the excuse anymore that, well, it's someone who doesn't have our best interests in mind. Dr. Rick Kidder is a black man. Like, he's won quite a number of awards, just for his work. But, they aren't paying attention long enough and not listening hard enough to really catch it. I'm not, hiding it. It's just, it's in there. And when they're faced with that information, they don't know how to handle it because they don't have this weird apologetic for, why all of them are ignorant to genetics and don't trust anyone conducting genetic testing.
Oh, yeah, he definitely didn't want to further the conversation because he went where he went on purpose because he knew I was going to take it to the test. Pretty much all tribes, all of the major tribes went through these tests, the DNA testing to test specifically to see if they had Jewish ancestry and settle the fucking conspiracy theory once and for all. I mean, so many tribes were tested. He knows this information. He knows that's where I was fucking going. He didn't want to fucking talk about that shit because it disproves everything that he fucking says. All of them. They say crazy shit. The lost tribes of Jews were lost. They're gone. They're blended in to the rest of the world. And it wasn't over here. It was over there. Some of them did end in Africa. They're right about that, but
yeah, somebody told me a while back that a lot of them went to South Africa, from what I understand. I have to actually look into that, but I remember someone saying that very recently.
Yeah, they have validity to some of their claims, but when they include Native Americans, it's just it was a myth. It's a myth that's been thoroughly debunked. And that's why he took issue with me calling it a myth from the very beginning, because it's a fucking myth. Don't sit here and say it's not.
I think that a lot of what the rabbi was talking about tonight could be categorized as mythology.
Yeah, I mean, well, and G-Man called him on it. He doesn't. Dragnot called him on it. I called him. He doesn't answer direct questions. He just spits out fucking bullshit.
John, it's funny you say mythology because when he made that about the dog and the petri dish, I was like, well, maybe the dog was a skinwalker.
Of course, I was hoping G-Man would come and G-Man and Drag could do something on my channel.
That would have been great.
That would have been fucking awesome, man.
I mean, that would have been classic. Like I'd paste that shit as my fucking commercial for my channel.
It's funny. I asked him, Dragnot, the other day about that one picture where when he visited G-Man and he's got him up off the ground by the neck, and I thought that was like real when I first saw it, and they said no, that was staged. I didn't really pick him up by his neck, but I think Dragnot, whenever he interacts with G-Man, he figuratively picks him up off the ground by his neck, man.
Well, G-Man, he's admitted in so many words that he knows that I can easily get under his skin and easily manipulate him.
I mean, just the gel comments. I mean, he was
going to jail.
Trying so hard not to laugh, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so funny.
Yeah, the chat fucking blew up when that got brought up, man. And then you just watched G-Man was just getting more and more perturbed, because everybody was fucking with him in chat.
So if anybody else wants to come in now that the rabbi is gone, and sorry for that, because it was entertaining. The Raging Atheist rages sometimes, and he's like the second person I've booted. He's with Darth Dawkins now. I mean, that's a steam company.
I think no one should really talk to Darth Dawkins, but
I didn't know who he was. And then the second time I let him in.
I'm actually thinking about going on his Discord and posing as an atheist, just because he keeps posting, "We want atheists in my channel." Yeah, and I keep wanting to just go in there and just fuck with him a little bit, but I don't want to make him mad and all that. But I really do. No, I don't. But I really do. I really do. I want to have some fun, just fuck around with him, just pretend to be an atheist for a bit.
That's going to make him mad. I mean, I'm not sure why you care about why he's mad, but I mean, it's your prerogative.
Hey,
you're gonna make an enemy, this one guy.
Just real quick, I just want to address, bring some comic relief and address some more nonsense in the live chat. So Sky Out, once he popped back in for a second before I fucking timed him out again, he said, I agree, that a student of history should know about history, but if he got the question right, what would your point be? He got the answer right? No, Sky Out. That would mean the point would be that he's not full of shit if he got the answer right. He said he was a student.
I would have continued the narrative. I would have went with what history says and why that myth was created. And it was just a false assertion that because the Bible didn't talk about the natives, the Native Americans actually disproved the Bible because the Bible says nothing about them. So because of that, it must be the lost tribes of Israel. God gave them this new land to go call their own. It's a fucking myth. It didn't happen.
One of the things that I don't like to happen that happens in these conversations is that when we start trying to quiz each other, because there's really, I can say that, yeah, he didn't know what a helminth was, and I kind of question his knowledge. Yeah, but he could have understood the topic, and I want to be as charitable as I can. The posturing that people do by doing these quizzes isn't really productive. And so it's a bit of an effort to say, okay, if you ask me a question that you think is germane to this topic, then cool. But if we're just quizzing each other's knowledge, then we're going to hit a brick wall at some point.
Well, let me add to that though. But if somebody makes a claim though as to their knowledge base, then you sometimes got to ask a question to see if that claim is really true. Like when I asked him what was the cause of World War I, right after he claimed to be a student of history, which if anybody doesn't know, I know that there's people that come and listen to this channel that aren't from the United States and maybe English isn't their first language. But when someone says they're a student of history, that phrase means they are claiming that they are an expert in history. It doesn't mean they're going to school for history. The phrase "I'm a student of history" means you are claiming that you have superior knowledge in history.
When I said I'm a student of history, I should clarify that I'm a student of certain history. But I definitely know who the fuck's in World War I.
Yeah, right. I mean, if someone says they're a student of history and they can't answer the question, what incident precipitated World War I? Well, that's a fifth grade question, and get the fuck out of here.
Books after books after books, like he understood what Dragnaut was saying. Anybody could understand that Dragnaut is I don't care about your fucking books. What research have you fucking read? I mean, it's like this diversionary tactic. Look at how smart I am. Look at how many books I've read. Dude, it means nothing. A book is a dime a dozen. Anybody can write a fucking book. Anybody can write a fucking book. It doesn't mean it's true. You believe everything you fucking read.
Well, the issue with that is that when you have someone making some of these claims, I know good and goddamn well the person that he mentioned didn't have any actual research. If it's something that was patented and it worked, she would have published on it a long time ago, and there wouldn't be other versions of it because she would have the patent for it. She would have the actual, mechanism of action to show exactly why this zapper machine, for some reason, because it conducts electricity, it somehow zaps only the helminth that's within whatever, and it's so freaking weird. But
I'm looking for you guys, but I don't even understand what is this machine, because I've never heard of this shit before.
it's bullshit. Because he thinks that this machine could detect what he called life force. Well, that's a pro tip. There's not such a thing as life force.
Yeah, nothing.
What? Science. Not when you're talking about.
That's why I said midichlorians.
Yeah, so there's not a such thing as life force. People refer to it as all kinds of stuff, but whatever.
Well, and it's legitimate science too when the device is called the zapper.
Yeah, the zapper. Oh, cool.
Yeah, fuck. It sounds like some Scientology shit.
Yeah, that's exactly what
the e-meter.
Oh, that's funny you say that, because when I was outside having a smoke, that's what I said when he was spewing that nonsense, and you guys said, "Oh, we can't hear you." I asked him, does that device also do an audit on you and detect heathens? That's what
I've watched a ton of ISUPK videos. This is the first time ever hearing this shit. Is this a Black Hebrew Israelite thing, or is this just some crazy
no? So this is something that you'll have a lot of extreme vegans also have some of these views.
I didn't mean to be rude, but I'm gonna cut out, guys. I'll see you. Bye.
I never heard of extreme veganism. I know some vegans that are pretty, I would consider extreme about it, but I didn't even know extreme veganism is a thing.
Yeah. I mean, I often believe in a lot of woo. I'm generalizing here, but it's the more extreme ones that think that there's alternative medicine for everything, and that they've patented the one way to cure everything. It's a panacea, just like they used to sell ketchup, many decades ago as a cure-all. It's the same nonsense. But if you ask these people, okay, what is a mechanism of action for this purported device? None of them know. So, okay, well, for the research that's done to show that, this disorder is genetic or congenital or whatever, what do you guys have to say for that? Oh, well, no, it's this. It's it's just another assertion, right? None of them have any background in any of this stuff. So when you start asking them questions that are pertinent to the conversation, they can't answer. And I thought it's always hilarious to me. But if people want to come in and actually talk about cancer, feel free. I got a little bit of time.
Hey, Nakasushi Praise is in the chat, and he asks, "Hey, Rage, are we debating tomorrow?"
Yes, we are. It's gonna be fun. I don't even see how you can take the position that atheists are afraid to debate.
That's interesting. I didn't know that's a debate, or is that a discussion?
I'm not sure. I'm not even really sure about the format. Yeah, but I just know that it's like who's more afraid to debate serious issues, atheists or Christians?
Okay, based on my experience, not too many theists are willing to step up and have discussion.
It's so hard to get Christians on this channel.
I've been like not during the Keen era, but a little bit after the Keen era, around 2007, 2008, up until now. And it's been harder and harder and harder to get theists to actually discuss what they believe with you live, what it is. But I guess a lot of them don't feel that though they have the wherewithal to stand scrutiny, or maybe it's just that a lot of them have just gotten burnt out. I have no idea, but it's by far and large, in my opinion, that many theists, one, don't have what it takes, and two, are unwilling to actually be scrutinized.
Because I mean, in society, it's becoming more and more unaccepted. You have to defend and rationalize horrible acts, and Praises in the chat. He does it all the time with slavery. It gets harder and harder and harder, and you can't come out and say what you really believe anymore unless you want to be hated. Just look at Sky. Perfect example. It's hard to get people to if they do come on to really talk about the hard issues. Like what do you feel about the LGBTQ community? What do you feel about abortion? What do you feel about guns? And they don't really want to come on and talk about those issues.
Speaking of LGBTQ and Sky out in the modern day debate chat tonight, I know Marty wants a piece of Sky out on your channel.
She does. So Sky out, if you want to come talk to Marty, I'll let you back on one last time.
Something tells me he knows as much about that as he does philosophy.
He knows everything about philosophy. We all know that.
Oh, of course.
Hey, Sky out's the best.
So yeah. I'm curious, Sky out, is Sokka count a found herentis? I'm curious. He's watching my way.
Can you say the word, Sky out? Can you say the word?
Try to spell it. Use an Etch-a-Sketch.
It's so fucking fun. I have the first part of Sokka and Sky out's second thing cut out, but I've been so busy and putting out so much content, I just haven't gotten it up yet. So that'll be coming out this weekend. Like I had that cut out. I think I have a little something else. I can't remember what else. Like it was some funny part that I promised I would cut out of that, but I still got to do the second part with Sokka and Praise, and then I already did the part of Sokka and Praise, and then I got to cut out still the very last part of Sokka and Sky out.
I mean, that was just so hilarious. Like Dragnot would ask him, a detailed question about philosophy or something, and it's got to be like, but evolution, and he would just come out with like this nonsense that had nothing to do with it.
John, I am purposely avoiding talking to him about science because I need to practice more of my philosophy. I'm not going to even bother with him on science because I know he knows dick all about that. That's just going to annoy me more to trying to teach him what he should have learned in high school than joy than I would get out of the conversation at all.
And I warned him before he spoke to either one of you. I'm like, Sky, like I'm new to the debate scene. My very first debate, like I was able to get you off script really easily. You don't want to talk to these guys. Like they're gonna make you look really bad. And he's so confident. He's so unaware of himself that he thought he would be fine.
have to think it's a strength and a weakness. If you don't know how ignorant you are, then you can't be hurt by it. You know?
Yeah. It does not phase him at all. It does not phase. He comes in here and all night long it's been racist comment after racist comment. He keeps getting timed out, and then he's like, "I'm not racist. It's comedy."
Yeah, right.
Like, no,
hey,
it's
that reminds me of something. Reminds me something though too about what Dragnot said. So I've been popping to the Discord there and seeking him and Sokka out. They're always in there like playing that one video game they play. Right, that's what I was gonna say. And Dragnot said, "Hey, make sure and mention the Nakasuchi. You've been coming around and asking and get him in here." And
well, I've been job hunting so here's what happened. I had this really excellent job at Bell's Beer. It was a great beer company, one of the best beer companies in the world. But my daughter has this new diagnosis, and she bottoms out at night, and I missed too many nights and lost my job. And I was supposed to start another job immediately, and I didn't, and it never started. So I had to go. I've been job hunting just furiously, so I've been just so busy. But now I've got a job. It just doesn't start for a little while. Probably like 2 more weeks. So I'm gonna have a whole ton of time. I'm gonna go to my old job and try to like pick up some shifts and make some money. So I'm gonna be like a pauper by the end of this thing. I'm gonna lose like 50 pounds. I'm gonna be starving. Definitely not a rich man. Definitely can't afford not to be working. You know? So yeah, I've been terribly busy. But now I'm gonna have all this time on my hands. In fact, I'm gonna start making a Raging Atheist versus Matt Powell video that is going to be the funniest shit I've ever made in my life. I've already started doing it. It's gonna be great. Look forward to that, guys. Look forward to it.
You still gonna be working on that documentary, Rage?
Oh yeah. I'm working on that slowly. But here's my problem with it. Mm-hmm. Because you really need to do what Matt Powell does and what genetically modified skeptic is doing. Hire an editor, or what I'm going to do is slowly work on it. And once I get my new computer and my new programming, then I'm going to really put it together. So it's going to be a while. So I'm going to just make a shit ton of new Matt Powell shits fucking with him.
Yeah. One of the things I've noticed is that people seem to love the live interaction when you have someone to engage with. I'd even talk to Aaron Benson again, just for shits and giggles.
Really?
I mean, there's very rarely that I will say I won't talk to somebody because I can actually somewhat talk to Aaron because he knows enough about some things that you can kind of keep the conversation going. Sky Out is worthless, honestly. If you had an Etch-a-Sketch and you had a 3-year-old just kind of operated for a few minutes, that's the equivalent to talking to fucking Sky Out. Like it's in front of you, but it's incoherent. There's nothing that you're going to get back from that, right? So you are tasked with carrying that conversation, the brunt of it, and then just tagging this drooling idiot along long enough for at least people to get a few laughs, but it's not edifying, right? Because you're teaching adult handicapped child how to speak for the first time, essentially. So finding people to kind of come on and just have debates, have discussions with them.
Conversations. That's what I'm interested in. Or like I want to start just bringing people on to just join me and doing my thing, my reviewing videos and stuff like that. So I'm really working on making that happen. But yeah, like Sky, he's not even fun anymore. Praise is more fun.
You could actually be edified talking to Praise. He actually knows, some about the Bible and about, let's just say theology and about philosophy to kind of carry the conversation. And then, because me and Sokka were actually talking about this, you can actually get a challenge from Praise.
Mm-hmm. He held his own with Sokka, I thought. It was a lot better than Sky.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of discussions, let me mention that tomorrow night, the Raging Atheist is going to be on the Great Debate Channel. And if anybody, of course, everybody in chat now here knows the Raging Atheist, but if you know anybody that doesn't know the Raging Atheist, tell them about tomorrow night at 10 o'clock on the Great Debate Channel, Eastern Time, because we're going to be talking to Nakasuchi about why he decided to form this channel and, all kinds of good stuff. And then after that, he's going to join us for a discussion, not a debate, where we're going to talk about whether or not Christianity is the cornerstone of Western civilization.
Yeah, it's going to be a good talk. A lot of good people is going to be there.
Dr. Misha Griffith's going to be there, talk about good people, Knock, and Nick Suter's going to be there. James himself from Modern Day Debate's going to be there. Macabre, a person that we see in a lot of different hangouts, is going to be there. And I can't remember. I know I'm leaving somebody out, but can't think who.
They're always good discussions.
Just to kind of something I've noticed that people kind of like interviews, believe it or not. Interviewing people. You can interview John Carlton, Godless here, Atheist Rationale, hell,
Yeah, I've thought about doing that because I started to do that like when I first started doing live streams. But I think I thought about going to a more especially when I do like the new atheists like Sassy, and when I first did Atheist Rationale, like really like dig into their beliefs. And I made mistakes a couple times with having them in Hangouts, open rooms, and it needs to be one-on-one so I can focus on them.
Yes, I was going to say that being an interviewer is actually a quite difficult skill, because you have to generate the questions if you don't already have them, and keep the conversation going. When someone is telling you about their backstory, their history, something you didn't know, try to kind of dig a little bit deeper into that, but kind of know where it might be a topic and back off and segue into something else.
Mm-hmm.
So there is Holy Spackle actually on her channel had a number of really great interviews, and the aim is to kind of learn something new about the person. And so like you could use Sock Accounts. The Sock Account was well known for his and Xbox Fiend's show Dogma Debate.
Yeah, he talked about that last weekend, I think.
Deeper than Dogma.
Deeper in Dogma.
Deeper than Dogma. That was a really great show. Next Talking Shit Tuesday, of course. But that's something that people remember him for. But a lot of kind of newer folks don't remember that. So
actually, when Sokka was on the stream last week, and then I put everybody's information in the pinned comment, I put the link for Deeper Than Dogma in there as well.
Oh,
sweet. Nice. Yeah. I've been meaning to go check that out, because he talked about it, and there was one thing that I really wanted to see, and I can't remember what it is, but I'll remember when I break all this stuff, when I get all this stuff produced and put it on my channel. Because
Drag, you talk about interviewing, and it's funny because I'm gonna do like just 4 streams a month, 3 or 4, and I knew after I had the Dave McGinnis and Cheshire Vic on the first time, and they talked about the Slippery Slope show channel that they're creating, and then who was the second one, Doc?
It was Jim.
Jim Major's disciple. But after doing that, I said, you know what? This is a good little segment to like open the streams up with. And there's a lot of smaller channels out there, or medium-sized channels that people should, need to hear about. And it is fun to have somebody like Knox going to come on for the first 20 minutes or so. I'm going to be firing questions at him and give him a chance to, talk about his channel. And it's fun, and it's interesting to hear about. And speaking of that, Knock, I love the video you put out the other day. I have to admit to you, I had to jump around in it because like I was getting kind of emotional, man. Like
it was. I was surprised I got so emotional. I didn't expect to.
And you don't want to know something else, and I don't care what anybody thinks of me. Like especially some of you theist trolls that always want to like call people pussies and shit. When those people were showing you their support, I think it was last night or was it earlier today, and throwing them super chats at you, dude. Like I was watching that, and I was in chat. I was getting emotional over that for you, man. I was like a happy emotion. You know what I mean? Like it was choking me up that they were showing you that love, brother.
Yeah, me too, man. It was phenomenal. It was like it's something that you just don't even expect. And yeah, especially right now, it's a good time after that doctor visit. So I'm really grateful for it. And to get back to what Dragnaut was saying and entwine it, is I really enjoy this live format, but I'm trying to figure out where it's going to go, and I'm trying to get the technology so I don't have to do these hangouts, and I have more control aesthetically, especially. But yeah, like I think it's going to get a lot better. And I'm a creative person. I need to not rage so much. So Rabbi, if you're still listening, one of these days, no, fuck you, you're gone. But it's going to get better. And I think I realized that once I started doing the live shows, that interacting with the audience, even though I'm bad at the chat, I'm getting better at it. I'm hoping that it does add that element. And I know I love going into a chat, interacting with the people. So it's definitely where I'm headed. I'm still going to do my edited content, but now I can really focus on it and make it a lot better instead of rushing it out and trying to get 3 videos out a week. I'm really excited about the direction of the channel, but growth has slowed. It's my fault. I covered this whole bullshit with thought and rationality rules. I got one more video to do, guys, and I swear it's going to be back to the atheism shit. But yeah. So I mean, it's my own fault. If I stuck to do what I was doing, the growth would have been the same. And the live shows, I'm getting more views, so it's only going to get better. And I love our conversations. I love that I have Dragnot on and Sokka and John and Carlton comes in, and you never really know who's going to show up to one of these things. It's quite phenomenal. It's blown me away as this thing has progressed.
Maybe we should get Messenger in here and have another pose off between him and Dragnot.
Yeah, we can do that. I got like another hour. So anybody that wants to come in,
all right, for nudity.
Yeah, we can do some.
I gotta tell you though, like, I mean, it was funny as hell, and Messenger, you're my boy, man. We didn't start out that way, but you're my boy. You really shouldn't have taken your shirt off and stacked yourself up against Dragnot, man.
It was hilarious. I think that might be the thing I cut out, actually.
That might be you did a little snippet on that. I mean, yeah, and Sock is going at Sky out, making some really fucking awesome points. It's great. And all of a sudden, I look down, and there's Messenger with his shirt off, like, you know,
it was hilarious.
Yeah, I couldn't help but laugh out loud, man. And then like Sock is like, what? Huh? What?
And to clarify, because I do know that I do slip and say my people a lot. It's just because I identify as Native American. I'm a white guy. When I fill out my applications, I put white. I advocate for Native Americans, and I acknowledge, and I have significantly more fucking blood than most white people. I have extensive experience on reservations in Native American protests. So those are my people, and I will fight for them, even the ones that don't care for me. So, I know I don't have to clarify, but just to clarify, because I noticed that slip quite a few times since I started talking about the Native American shit, because before I never talked about it. People started asking me to. So, just to clarify, for everybody to know, when I fill out a job application, I mark white.
Hey, check it out. Messenger posts in the live chat after what I said about him not stacking himself up. He says, "Yeah, I know. I need a tan. I was glowing. I wasn't talking about the tone of your skin, man. I was talking about you don't stack up against Dragnot muscle-wise, dude."
Yeah. It was unforgettable, I think is a good word.
It's okay, Messenger. It's just molded fat. It's all right.
I used to be really muscular, and if I took this shirt off now, it would be just blah. Just blah.
Hey, can I ask you a question, Rage?
Yeah.
Something you said like maybe a half hour ago now. What did you mean by about that? You said something about next year, and you said right about by the time I lose my leg.
Well, it won't be that quick. I was kind of being funny, but eventually I'm going to lose my right leg. Probably 5 years, maybe 10 at the most. I got a very severe vein disease everywhere. It causes my chronic pain when I smoke so much weed. But my right leg is straight jacked up. It's fucked. It's probably going to get cut off at the knee. 5 years, maybe 10. I have nightmares about it every night. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's somebody that I know, actually somebody in the community is actually very close to me. He found out that he's losing one of his eyes.
Yeah,
it's just, it's one of those things that I talk to him about because I couldn't imagine because it's slowly but surely happening. It's becoming more and more of a reality. But it's weird because you come to terms with certain things like that, and then you adapt because you know what? There's people who they don't have arms or legs that they're doing shit that I could never do. So it's encouraging.
Well, and that's basically why I started YouTube. I was like, you know what, I was a failure as a writer, and not so much a failure. I'm a great writer. I just never tried to publish. Like my thing is writing. I like to write, and then I'll put it away and write something new. I never went through the whole public. I didn't try it once, and I failed miserably. I failed at it, completely rejected. So I started doing YouTube as basically. I need to try to do something where eventually I can get my art out as a platform. That's where it started, art, my poetry and stuff like that. Nobody listens to that shit. So it evolved into this. And now the goal is eventually, by the time I lose this fucker, not to have to work, because it's going to be hard to work without a leg. It's just, yeah, you come to terms with it. I've known for about 3 years now that it's going to go. I still have nightmares every night. The thought of them cutting into it terrifies me. But you slowly come to terms with it. You start to think, all right, so what do I need to do after? How am I going to adapt after? And maybe they're wrong. I was diagnosed with spinal meningitis at 6 months 6 months old. I'm supposed to die. And when I didn't die, it was a miracle. It was God. But they said that I'd be retarded and decrepit by the age of 12. And, they were pretty much right about retarded, but the decrepit part, I'm fine. So I still tell myself this in my old age, but people, they're wrong all the time is my point. And I'm supposed to go get a shot for that. Because it was a Michigan thing. I was born in Michigan, and air pollution, spinal meningitis, it was, pretty fucked up.
Yeah, the phrase plan for the worst, or what is it? Plan for the worst, expect hope for the best, or expect, and it seems like when doctors, sometimes they seem to like put the worst out there, and because a lot of times there are, they say, oh, this is what's going to happen, and the people prevail beyond that. So
they can't understand why it's as bad as it is in the right leg. I think it's I don't know. My hunch is that it's from an old basketball injury, and I don't know. It's the injury happened in my right leg, and my right leg's worse than the rest. So I don't. I put two and two together. My right leg's always been fucked since high school, since I had that injury. So why not the right leg? It's gotta go, right? Oh yeah, you try to. We laugh at these things, but yeah, that's why that shit. I can actually show you guys. It's really fucked up. Let me see. It's always fucked up. See it?
If Godless would start bleeding into his mic,
it's all jacked up.
What do you mean I'm bleeding in my mic?
Oh, your icon was on the screen because you were breathing into your mic, and it was keeping Nakasuchi from being seen when he wasn't talking.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't.
Oh, you're good.
I'm trying to use my computer instead of my phone, and I don't know the range of my mic on my computer.
Hey, you know what?
That sucks, Jim.
If Nakasuchi give me a minute here, and then actually he can do it himself if he wants. But you've been in here quite a few times, Godless Galaxy, and I know Carlton's been in here a few times. But I don't think we've ever heard much from you. I mean, do you have a channel, Godless Galaxy? Did you put content?
I'm trying to get. I have like a script I'm trying to work on for like a video. But some personal stuff happened, so I've been kind of stuck. So,
what about you, Carl? Do you have a channel that you put content out on?
Actually, well, I used to do like K-pop reaction videos, but
My wife fucked up when you said that.
Yeah, you can actually find them under, I think it's Enchanted Hobo, all one word. But I'm currently editing a video about how I became an atheist and why I'm an atheist. That's what I'm
That's
currently.
always a good start.
Yeah.
I had a video like that for some reason people keep finding.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting one. That's something something a lot of people identify with more so than the bullshit G-Man stuff that I do. But
Right. Yeah.
finding that other people go through those stages where you are kind of the stereotypical angry atheist. Some of us think that we've been lied to, and now you're kind of on a mission, at least in my case, to try and disabuse people of these lies and how you've kind of learned things over the years. And it's always nice to kind of revisit that too and say, here's where I messed up. Here's the things that I've learned. Here's the person I've become,
Right.
Throughout this journey. And I think that's a really good idea.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, and if you guys are interested in, I guess, learning how to have these interactions, I say interactions with Sky Out and Rabbi and stuff like that, feel free to consult me and Sokka and others. There's plenty of us who've been around here for years that, we'd rather watch other people do it now, honestly.
Well, I've already learned so much from y'all, and I haven't even been on your Discord server like John has. And I can tell, like, I don't know, like the John that I met was horse-faced, and this new John, I don't, he's calling out fallacies, and I'm like, I don't even know this guy.
Yeah, I mean, there's other people too. I mean, there's you guys already know Ocean. There's plenty of folk like
I love Ocean, man. He's a good dude.
Yeah, Ocean knows, like, his arguments are really tailored more towards theists, but it's he knows how to put forth his pagan deities. But the people that I ended up learning from were like Ozzy, Floyd FP. That's in areas such as philosophy. Because when I first came on here, I was people sitting around thinking, who needs that? But when you're doing science, you are doing philosophy. Anytime you're making a decision. Actually, John, you were in a conversation with me and Sokka the other day where we were explaining like the utility of learning philosophical arguments, and that's why more often than not you'll hear me try and discuss those things more so than the science, because there's not really much of a debate on what the science is. There's just people who misunderstand it or don't understand it at all, and then try and form arguments around their misunderstanding. So,
right. I mean,
I would implore people to definitely shore up their knowledge and just kind of basic stuff, but like epistemology, justifications, normative ethics, stuff like that. Just to be able to have a starting point to which you can explain to people who are more adept at these conversations in Sky Out that, okay, well, you're attacking a foundational standpoint. Well, I'm a coherentist, kind of work that way, but here I'll play devil's advocate. I'll be a foundationalist, and I'll tell you why that making God your properly basic belief doesn't work.
I mean, and you talk about people like Ozzy and Floyd FP. I mean, you should learn more about those things, not just so that you yourself can engage, but then, if you watch somebody and Ozzy's there and is talking, you're going to understand more of what he's saying. You're going to appreciate what you're viewing a lot more if the people in there are talking about these subjects. I mean, I'll go in, and if Dragnot and Sokka are talking about something, I mean, sometimes I might as well be sitting on a bus listening to two Chinese people converse with one another because I don't understand what they're saying. You know what I mean?
Sometimes it's like, I'm like, I have to go back and watch it and really break it down and slow it down, pause it sentence by sentence and think about it. And I'm like, where's the dictionary?
Where's the SCP?
If we're saying something that you guys don't, and this is for folks in the audience too, if we're talking about stuff, we're mentioning things that I guess I might articulate during that time.
I'd love it.
Love it. Let me know, or let Sokka know, or let somebody know that we'll give you a resource for it. We just don't want to be saying things and you just kind of repeat them. And
I always follow along, and I always have a gist of it. It's just it's kind of like with Richard Madsen, but in a different way. like I really have to go back and just process it and understand it fully. Like I understand it as it's going along, and I think most people probably does. But I also understand that wow, you guys are on a level that I'm not at. You know, when it comes to these arguments, you know, I've been a reactionary for my whole YouTube thing. So these arguments are all new to me, and I'm like, you guys are definitely on a new level.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Knox. Tell me if you feel the same way I do. A lot of it is, I mean, yeah, the ideas are one thing, but a lot of times it's the terminology that kind of trips me up. You know, if you go back and then, like you said, rehash it again and then familiarize yourself with the terminology, then you can understand the ideas behind it a little better. You know?
Oh yeah. Sometimes when Drag is really doing his his biology thing, yeah, I have to go look up some words.
Yeah, I threw in quite a few today. Thymine dimers. I threw it. So I can actually. So here's, I guess, let me give you an illustration. In your genetic code, you know, you have four base pairs: the A, the T, the G, the C. What can happen is that when you're exposed to UV radiation, if you have two T's next to each other, two thymines, they can actually bind horizontally to one another to kind of give you, it looks like the letter H, I guess you could say. So if you imagine the DNA and how it's connected, right? So let me just turn on my camera so you can see. Okay, so the DNA is connected like this, right? So, but they're not touching each other here. But what can happen is two of the thymines here can bind together, and so I'll just say the other molecules in the cell can say, wait, that's not supposed to happen. Something went wrong. That the UV radiation ended up causing that, and so we need to fix that. So that molecule comes in and tries to fix it by cutting it and then replacing it with the same base. Well, sometimes it doesn't replace it with another thymine. It'll replace it with something else. And so that introduces a mutation. Now, imagine all the cells in your arm and how many times a day that actually happens. Well, you get that enough times and you're going to build up a certain level of mutations. That's why you see older people start to get cancer more often, because they built up these mutations literally over decades. And that is one of the simple causes for skin cancer. But when I was giving him that example, I knew good and goddamn well he had no idea what thymine dimers was. He could say, well, Drag, what do you mean by thymine dimers? And I can explain it just the same way I did for you guys. But my man was a little bit too proud. Like, he did not want to say, well, can you explain what that is? And then we follow along the conversation. He knew that he knew nothing about genetics. He knew that the helminths that he mentioned were not in any way, shape, or form associated with that particular mechanism of cancer. So he had to draw the conversation elsewhere. But that's one of the things that you guys can kind of use when you're having these discussions. Just, take it to an area that you understand this fairly decently, right? And you say, okay, I know that is wrong. Let me pick something that I know about and everyone knows about, so that we can discuss it. And then let that person introduce their nonsense to you and try and make sense of it, no matter where it goes, as long as we're following along with kind of, the central theme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I definitely loved every moment of the outside of his loud ass microphone and his rate. Like, I really wanted to nail him down to see. Do you think, Drag, that he was ISUPK?
I don't think so, but we didn't get too much into his ideology. I'd be hard pressed to say that he was, because he doesn't come across as one of those guys from the few that I've had interactions with. So if someone can correct me later if he is, but I honestly wouldn't know.
Well, he said he wasn't in our first conversation, but so is it like a common Black Hebrew Israelite belief that Native Americans are Jews and Spanish and Black people, that those are the original Jews, or is
Yeah, they have the 12 tribes chart, and you'll hear them kind of repeat the 12 tribes. And Native Americans are definitely, along with Puerto Ricans, are on there too for some reason, which it's like, okay, well, that doesn't make sense, but whatever, right? We'll go with that.
Yeah, none of it makes much sense. Like,
wait, what about blood tests instead of skin So they don't. Wait, what do you mean blood test? Not sure what Free Spirit's talking about.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Are they talking about for ancestry? Oh, they're talking about something else in the chat. Somebody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jen with one N is talking about her medical condition. If I can speak, this is what happens when I don't drink. It's like 3 weeks tomorrow. I haven't drank, and
shit,
I'm raging. 3 weeks and I'm raging.
Proud of you, man.
Yeah, it's going good, man. It's going good.
Hey, so what is the whole thing behind that though? Like, what do they think that there's? Are they claiming? How are they claiming that the Jews got here though? Like,
well, and I've asked them that, and they don't seem to answer, or they seem to think that maybe the land bridge happened way after it happened. I don't know, because Native Americans got here over the land bridge a long time ago.
I've heard some of them claim that there are Native American. Well, the people who would become Native Americans were actually kind of a seafaring group that came over from another continent.
I've heard that too. I've heard that theory too, and I'm not sure, honestly. I've always heard the theory of going over the land bridge, but I'm not even really sure where I heard that theory from, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I listened to a lot of them just kind of belt out claims left and right. So, this guy's there from this universe. Okay, well, cool. This guy, he wrote a book and he made claims, and you're repeating said claim. Like, I don't know what, like, when you call yourself a Jew, cool. What does that actually mean to me or anyone else?
Yeah. And how does it? What I don't get is, for one, if anybody that watched the debate, to claim that Abraham was a Muslim, like, how do you get there? Because Muhammad was born like what was it, 800 AD? Like, I don't understand that. I don't. It confused the fuck out of me, and I wanted to comment about it, but neither him nor G-Man would shut up long enough for me to ask another question.
Yeah,
the thing is, the books he reads, you got to remember they're peer reviewed, and they're peer reviewed studies. So you have to accept what he said.
And the whole shit about the Ark of the Covenant, like, and Drag, I'm not trying to say that you're like an expert on Black Hebrew Israelite. It's just I'm the only ones I've studied is ISUPK, and I've never heard them say anything about the Ark of the Covenant before. But I've only watched a few videos. Like, it just threw me like, what the fuck is he talking about? Ark of the Covenant.
I'll have to actually ask one of my contacts about that one. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, and he went on about it for a while, and I'm like, I have watched a lot of ISUPK videos at this point. I covered them on my first channel. Got like, it was like 68 death threats from them all calling me a cracker and a white devil, and I'm gonna die honky, pretty much type of shit.
Okay, but I mean, but if you like, I gotta say, if you kind of look at the way that he was approaching the conversation, it was, at least it's clear to me that he isn't interested in actually answering even if
questions.
He's not answering the question. He's going to find something tangential to bring up just so he can have a response. He doesn't want to have that awkward silence like he did a few times when I forced him to answer questions.
It was beautiful.
So, I mean, that's more than likely he's just bringing up bullshit because he can't actually substantiate his claims. And so, I mean, if this is a tactic that they're teaching these guys, is not effective, because I'm just going to keep asking the same question and point out that you can't answer short, direct questions.
And you know what else he and people like that do is you ask the question and they don't answer immediately sometimes because they're thinking to themselves, why is he asking me this question, and how can it hurt me if I answer it? Or how can it make me look bad if I answer it? That's what was going on in his head a lot of times.
Yeah, and to be fair, a lot of people who, I guess on our side do the same thing. There's an apprehension. Oh, is he going to get me? We used to call them gotcha questions, like, because I used to interact with Brett Keane back in the day.
Oh yeah,
he was known
the
for
vanity.
Yeah, like he got me. Believe it or not, he, like, in my early days, he got me, and him and Nephilim Free too, and True Empiricism. They've gotten one up on me in my earlier days.
Nephilim Free wants to talk to me.
Oh, yeah, because so he likes to target people he thinks that they kind of don't know his script or know his techniques, but he won't go for some of us old heads who are well versed in his nonsense. He avoids us now.
Yeah, I've only seen him in a couple chats and heard him once on Non Sequitur show, and he sounded like he was like 95 years old.
No, he's just drunk. No, it's so he's interesting. Have you heard of the lunar bukkake theory? Oh, okay. I'll have to tell you about that sometime. That's something that I think someone said he stole it from one of the creationist websites. But long story short, he thinks that there was enough water in what he calls the fonts of the deep, underneath the Earth's crust, to force water up in jets, a jet stream, enough to hit the moon. Now, I can tell you on a number of different levels how impossible that is just from basic physics. But he swears up and down that's how the craters got on the moon.
That's fucking, oh my God. So yeah, before I even consider this conversation, I'm gonna have to come up in your Discord just for some Nephilim free information. I'll Google them or I'll YouTube them. I'm sure I could find a lot too.
To be clear, when Nephilim Free brings this up, he does not call it the lunar bukkake theory.
No, he doesn't.
The lunar bukkake theory.
Yeah,
this is what we call it. I think Agent of Doubt coined it many years ago.
That's fucking great, man. No, you see, I'm still a baby dog. Like, I don't think people truly understand how isolated I made myself. I was a complete reactionary. I watched some people and I didn't pay attention to what the fuck anything that was going on. I didn't know people have been having these kind of. I watched The Amazing Atheist. He never did fucking live hangouts like this shit. Like, never really had serious conversations. No. Dusty Smith never had serious conversations.
One of the greatest things I've ever heard you say, Doc, is when you were explaining, when you first started doing this, and you said that someone told you, well, hey, man, you got to get more involved in the community. And your response was, community?
I'm like, what fucking community?
Yeah. I mean, but it's like, here's the one thing. A lot of people that sit in the audience, we'll definitely judge you when you screw up, but only a handful of people will actually go live and have these organic conversations. Even though Rabbi Lewis claimed that I was Googling stuff, I didn't Google anything. My hands were down at the entire time.
I hear everything in these things, dude.
Yeah, I mean, my keyboard is literally next to my microphone, so you hear it. But it's hard to have these conversations and think about responses in the moment. A lot of people don't like being on camera. They don't like being questioned. They don't like having to know that there's 32 people watching live, being able to respond to something if you're wrong. So it is actually difficult to do all of this unless you are really confident in yourself and you know something about what could possibly come up. And that's something that Nephilim Free takes advantage of, because he has about 5 or 6 different niche topics that not too many people know about unless you are familiar with him. He has something for debunking ice cores that has to do with a plane trapped in a fucking glacier, a moving glacier at that. And so if you've never heard of this before, he's going to railroad you with it. And if you don't realize that what he's describing is a moving glacier, then you don't understand the significance of it, because it's like, oh shit, what is he talking about here? So it's a lot of it has to do with knowing your opponent and knowing kind of how to navigate a conversation you're unfamiliar with. Vincent Jones is asking, have you seen the Audacity?
Yeah, I haven't. No.
Oh, you need to see it. It's at the beginning of my live streams now, but you need to see it.
Is it on? Is it a movie?
I saw Carlton unmute. Were you trying to say something, Carlton?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that it's like a little mini music video parody. It's really good.
Yeah, I've seen that. I just didn't know what the name was. You talk about that thing with G-Man in it, and it's got some beats to it and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can actually link you right now. Actually, y'all want me to play it? I can just...
go ahead.
Yeah, play it. I need to see this.
Hey, white box them, and it'll play. The video play too.
Yeah, let me screen share.
Well, I want to let. Oh, there it is. All right. Yeah, I got to see this. I've never seen it.
So
yeah, there you go.
we got his soundboard, right? So some guys over the Hannibal and Monty shit show, they took clips from the soundboard and made this music video.
Announcement is this: I'm going to be doing a Google Hangout next Friday, not today, but next Friday, and that particular Google Hangout will be focused on primarily one thing. I'm asking everyone to bring their own personal rap to this particular Google Hangout. I'm gonna expose myself on YouTube. I'm gonna make a YouTube video embarrassing myself.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, I got to tell you about the fabulous, most groovy.
You know you're breaking the law right now. I will stomp a mud hole in you, sir. I am not playing right now. My name is Keenan. You're going to jail. My name is Keenan. That's all I got to say. I sold My name is Keenan. My name is Keenan. My name is Keenan. My name is Keenan. You can't beat me in writing. You can't beat me in chemistry. You can't beat me in biology. You can't even walk better than me. You can't outrun me. Bill, you can't even out-talk me. You're going to jail. My name is Keenan. That's all I got to say. I sold $3,000. My name is Keenan. My name is Keenan. My name is Keenan. My name is Keenan. You can't beat me.
That's brilliant.
You can't beat me in chemistry. You can't beat me in biology. You can't even walk better than me. You can't outrun me. Bill, you can't even out-talk me.
Yeah, it was great.
That's it.
Like, do you think it bothers him that he's like so hated by everybody?
So it's weird. He reserves a lot of his hate just for me. Like if random people just say that he's an idiot, he can brush it off. When I call him an idiot, for some reason, like he gets really mad. I don't know why.
Yeah, like the first thing he asked me, because I haven't talked to him since I was on Brett Keen's live stream with him, the night that I raged on Brett Keen. On Brett Keen's, it was classic, and I'm very proud of that moment. But I haven't seen him since then, so the first thing he asked me was, "Hey, Rage," or one of the first things he asked me. I mean, he was really nice to me. It surprised me because I didn't think he would be. But he's like, "Hey, Rage, so are you a Dragoon?" And I'm like, I don't think I can technically be called a Dragoon because I'm hardly ever on his Discord server.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, John.
No, all I was going to say was in the middle of your video there, there was the one little, "You're going to jail."
Yeah. Atheist Rationale was asking about that meme earlier, and all I can say, Atheist Rationale, is you have to go to Drag's channel and just watch. Just watch.
So it's a lot of the quotes come from him like threatening me. Like that's the funny part, and he can't pronounce words for shit. So I picked up on a lot of the stuff that he mispronounces all the time, And so I used to send him messages on Skype, and I'm like, dude, you probably need to stop saying this word like this because people are making fun of you. I don't care. I'll say it the way I want. I said, all right, cool. And, so, and other people too, would mention like you're really butchering the English language, and you want people to take you seriously, but you can barely form coherent sentences. And so we just started having fun with it. So one day he got really pissed off and said, Dragnot's going to gel, physical gel. So anytime he sees physical gel, he knows that's a reference to him raging at me, telling people that I'm going to physical
Is that as opposed to immaterial gel?
Right, as opposed to like metaphysical gel? Like I don't know what the difference.
I thought he was going to lose my shit because when James read that question, it was so hard not to just bust out laughing. I'm gonna have to go back and watch and just look at my face because it was hard.
Oh god,
chat was fucking blowing up, man. I
was watching his face the entire time, and man, he was not happy at all.
It was so funny. Oh, and he was pissed, and he's like, "Oh, I guess these are all the people that's gonna be in the after show with you, huh?"
Oh man.
Like, man, G-Man could have came on. It would have been classic.
Are we horrible people for just continuously picking on him?
I feel bad sometimes for how I pick on Christians in general. Like I have this humanist message, and then I go and do everything I say not to do. But hey, I'm the raging atheist.
The thing about is like G-Man preys on people's like sympathy, and then he'll use that as a way of trying to like stimmy your behavior, but he does nothing. Like he has no intention of ever being a good person at all, because like SJ Thompson's in there, oh, G-Man's such a good person. Like, did you know this dude physically threatened my wife and child, and physically threatened me on many occasions, like over the years? And
she's a trip, man.
Yeah, but she never like addresses that. She'll go and suck him off in the comment section. But when I mention that, like she won't respond to it. I'm like, okay, well, you want to stay ignorant to it, that's cool. But I take some nice screenshots of you endorsing him, and then I could just be a dick and juxtapose that with him doing these things. And so that's weird.
Oh yeah, I do the same thing with Matt Powell. People support him after all the shit he said. I talk mad shit. Mad.
Hey, SJ was in a thread that I was on Twitter earlier today, and so I said, oh, you know what? So I shot her a link for the tomorrow night, and as she responded within minutes, well, here because the topic is Christianity the cornerstone of Western civilization, and she responded back, here, I'll save you guys a lot of time. Yes, and so I responded back. Thanks, but I think we'll go ahead with the discussion anyway. Stop on by if you want to.
Yeah, come in and defend your position. Yeah, I've got to really seriously think. Well, I've got to prepare for my little debate. It should be fairly easy with Praise. Praise is smart though, so he'll get me. It should be interesting. But I really want to kind of study what position I'm going to take going into that discussion, because I haven't really considered my position on that before. Well, I make little comments about Native Americans, but I've never really considered it broadly.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would use it as an opportunity to just kind of explore ideas, and hopefully, your interlocutor is fairly charitable, because what ends up happening is something actually it's a fallacy. It's called the fallacy of 1,000 flowers. Not too many people know about this one, but it's when open discourse, if you encourage your opponent, or I should say the other person, to openly explore ideas, and then you like crucify them later once they start exploring a really weak one, it's a dick move, but that's actually a fallacy called the fallacy of 1,000 flowers.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. The one with Praise, I think it should be pretty straightforward, but I'm gonna think about it different ideas. But the Western civilization thing is something I've just never really thought about. I think I just automatically assume bad. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
Here's my quick just thumbnail position on it is, I think that ancient Greek society is more of a cornerstone of Western civilization.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely fall with that. I think I think I think there's a lot of argument to say that Christianity's done a lot to harm Western civilization.
I think I was trying to say something.
Who?
Godless, were you trying to say something?
Oh no, I was just saying I agree that the Greeks like helped our civilization or like influence us.
Yeah, I'd say Greeks, and you can't leave out the lost city of Atlantis, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so if it's just a discussion, here's what I would suggest: get everyone on the same page as far as defining your terms really early on, because it can get really convoluted if what you're considering a cornerstone is different from person to person to person. If what someone means by cornerstone that without this institution or idea or concept, whatever, that X would not exist, that's a heavy burden to carry.
It is
a heavy burden. But if they're saying cornerstone as in this is one of the defining characteristics of X, then that's dramatically different. So X could exist, it just wouldn't have that aspect. So I very early on see what your other
well, and me and Macabre sussed some of this out. I mean, our world.
Yeah, he's a smart dude.
Oh yeah, I mean, we were going back and forth on Twitter because he's the one that gave me the idea for this, by the way, because he responded to a tweet that Nicholas Suter put out and made the claim that it was, and he said in his tweet, he said that Christianity was a cornerstone of Western civilization. Now I took that idea, and then the topic is it the cornerstone of Western civilization? And when he saw that that's what I turned it into, he immediately responded back, well, don't misquote me. I said it was a cornerstone. And I said, well, Macabre, you inspired the topic. I mean,
yeah.
And he also, we got back and forth in this little pedantic kind of humorous argument because he said a cornerstone, and I said, well, and actually in literal parlance, buildings only have one cornerstone. And then he responded back with, well, no, there can be a cornerstone in every corner of the building. And I said, well, yes, they're a cornerstone in that they are at the corner of the building, but they're not the cornerstone. There's only one cornerstone to a building. It's a ceremonial kind of thing, or when a cornerstone is, oftentimes they'll have a plaque on it too, commemorating the building or whatever.
Sounds like y'all are just kind of arguing over the semantics of it all.
Right. Well, yeah, like that's why I said it was a humorous little thing. I was just like yanking his chain, and he kept responding back, and I responded back.
Yeah, he's interesting because I think he came at me in a way that where I went back at him at first, and it developed into a conversation. And he's got different beliefs than I do, but I like the guy. I think he's smart as fuck.
I've been in many hangouts with him on Steve's channel, and I often find myself, nodding my head and agreeing with the points he makes. I mean,
yeah, even if you disagree with the point, you agree with how he's making it.
Yeah.
I do that with Sokka talking damn politics. It's like, God, man, I can't combat this guy, and he's wrong.
I love Sokka because like that one, and I still can't, I don't know if Chester's listening tonight, but I couldn't convince her of it, that when her and Sokka were going at one another on the abortion issue, and I tried to explain to her, we were talking on Discord after the fact, and I said, well, you do know that Sokka was being a contrarian there mostly. I mean, some of the points he was bringing up truly weren't what he believed. He just was taking the other side of the argument because nobody else was. And she wouldn't buy that. But,
yeah, she does not like Sokka's political arguments.
Yeah, Sokka. Well, and I understand people don't understand how Sokka works. He will take up an unpopular position just to keep the conversation going, and that's something that people who have been having these discussions and actually debating for a while, that's a technique that they use to kind of sharpen their steel, so to speak. It is actually hard to do that.
Oh yeah.
So whether or not she believes that Sokka's actual position, not, I mean, is irrelevant. But if you're unable to defend your position against somebody who is taking up a position they don't actually hold, that says a lot, and that says a lot to the person who is taking up a position that they don't actually hold. It speaks to their knowledge and their adroitness as far as their ability to defend any position.
Well, I mean, if anybody's ever been part of a debate club, when they were going to school, you often had to take up positions that weren't your own. I mean, because that was part of learning how to debate.
Well, and the abortion issues, it becomes so emotional, so it gets emotional. That's why I don't like talking about it in political. When I do, I prefer to have abortion conversations like I did with Sassy and Star Gazelle. People on the same side talking about it, because it gets emotional. Motherfuckers gonna be screaming and yelling, and then before you know it, it's baby killers.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to go that way, though.
But it usually does.
Well, here, you guys are lucky. You guys are getting some of the people who are left over from Google Plus. Now, the abortion topics that me and Soccer are used to. Have y'all heard of anybody named Preet Wilson?
I have heard that name. I don't know how.
Okay, that is a screaming banshee who I'm still white boxed. Okay, yeah,
I always forget to do that. All right. No, you wasn't.
Would commonly post the pictures of what she thought were aborted fetuses all over Google Plus, and I mean, her voice was shrill and annoying, and she would not shut the fuck up at any point in time. That is someone who would scream at you for even suggesting that a woman has the right to abort, an embryo or whatever. And that, like, those conversations, like, you literally could not talk to Preet. Like, that is the kind of rabid anti-abortion advocate that I wouldn't suggest anyone talk to, because she's just inconsolable. But I guess the demographics of this community are quite a bit different, and I think that kind of folks are kind of dug in their heels on a lot of these issues, and that there needs to be understanding. There needs to be way more people trying to hear out each other's positions rather than trying to pigeonhole them and throw labels on them. Like, I'm watching this stuff kind of going on with rationality rules, and there can be a conversation around transgendered individuals and sports, and it can be a very nuanced one, but there's way too much pressure on people to say certain things or not say certain things, and not actually focus on finding common ground and seeing where the conversation can kind of go and where everyone can learn, having more of a deliberative dialogue versus a debate.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I think it's a conversation we need to have, and I've dedicated myself now, because I've been pretty clear. Like, to me, it's always been a human thing. Talking with Callan, and then Noel Plum left a really great comment. Not so great that he didn't seem to like Callan too much, but really great when it came to the science and explaining his position. And I'm like, I'm definitely gonna watch his video, and I'm gonna talk to Callan again, and I'm gonna learn the science of that issue, and I'm not, after my rationality rules thing, I'm gonna be done with that and focus on the topic, and try to educate myself and yeah. But it'll probably be on my political channel, on my other channel, but it won't be on this channel probably. But that is going to be something that I'm going to start actively involving myself in. I've been involved in pretty much defending homosexual people, but not the rest of the spectrum. And I want to defend all peoples.
Wait a minute. You have another channel?
Yeah, it's very small. It was the channel I started on. It's my political channel.
What's the name of it?
It's called Rational Thought. but I never put anything on it anymore.
Oh, we're gonna have to bring that up tomorrow night. Rational thought, huh?
Yeah, I never put anything on it anymore. I've been thinking about maybe doing a political stream again, and then doing this.
Dude, you should boot that
transgender
channel.
work.
You should boot that channel up for a live stream and talk about what's going on with the Mueller report.
Yeah, well, I want to start doing politics more. It's only at like 150 subs though, so it's like no live stream capabilities whatsoever.
What did you think about Mueller's statement the other day? Did you watch that where he gave that?
I haven't seen it all. I see. It seems like he's trying to play both sides. To me,
Well, actually, he clarified quite a bit during his statement.
well, yeah, I think it was a bad statement for Trump, and I think it was a good statement for Trump. I think there was like he was just trying to do both. I think Mueller was doing what Mueller does, and that's get the fuck out of the spotlight.
You know, the problem with it is he was trying to he was kind of hamstrung by the DOJ policy, but the fact of the matter is he could have taken a stronger position on that. He decided to follow DOJ policy, but what happened was back when Clinton was under investigation, Ken Starr had one of his team members, one of the lawyers, put a paper out, did a paper on, yes, a sitting president can be indicted.
Mm-hmm.
But that didn't change DOJ policy. But if Mueller had wanted to refer back to that paper as precedent, he could have gone ahead and indicted him and then left it up to Congress or the courts to decide whether it could go forward. But
I know. I'll tell you this. I've become of the opinion that if we want Donald Trump out of office, we have to impeach him now. We have to start the proceedings. We have to do it now, or he's probably going to win. And I don't think it'll be a fair win. I don't think it'll be. We got to impeach him. That's my opinion.
That could backfire, though, too.
Well, I mean, if you look at the history of impeachment, it's pretty much, since the Senate is the way it is, it's going to be a court of public opinion. And what it will do is get out information that we don't have.
That's a good point.
People will have to testify. It will become a spectacle, and it will be very hard for Donald Trump to win re-election. If we don't do it, it's going to be fairly easy for him to win re-election. That's my opinion. I think
one of the most important things that Mueller said the other day was, though, and I'm paraphrasing him here. I'm sure I'm not quoting him exactly, but he said something to the effect that had we determined that the president did not commit a crime, we would have said so in the report.
Yeah, I think even in his report and from what I've seen of his press conference, he's pretty much telling Congress, or trying to kick Congress in the ass and do what they're supposed to do, which is their constitutional duty. If it's possible the president of the United States to commit crimes, it's up to Congress. So we're going to see. But I also think that he gave President Trump good shit in that interview, and you've seen it with the Trump administration pouncing on it, going with their narrative. Their people's going to believe that narrative no matter what. There's a very little margin of people to turn, and that's what scares me. If we don't get the truth out of what actually happened, I don't think we're going to stand a chance in hell. Even if it's Bernie Sanders, my guy. I think it's going to be really hard. Especially, they've done nothing to stop Russia from doing it again. I don't know. I'm skeptical.
There's a lot of good videos out there now showing statements that Republican senators and congressmen made back when Bill Clinton was being investigated, and then the opposite. They're saying the opposite now, like all these claims they made back during the Clinton investigation, as far as what should be done, what could be done, what Clinton did that was wrong, and then now they're saying the opposite, and in the same situation. Yeah,
the Republican Party is destroying themselves. There'll always be a right wing party here. at least as long as we're alive. But I think we'll see the end of the Republican Party in our lifetime because they're destroying themselves with Donald Trump. They just don't see it. The Republicans that I grew up with, the Republican ideology that was forced on me as growing up down south, is not what I see from Republicans today at all.
It's funny that you say that too, because I've contended that that one way it could go is if they decided to move forward with impeachment proceedings, and get all the information out, like you're saying, and then once it's out there in the ether, all the the nuts and bolts of it, that the Republicans in the Senate, to preserve their party, would in fact, and this is one way it could go, like I said, I shouldn't say in fact, but they could decide to just turn their back on Trump, to preserve their party, and to go ahead and remove him from office. So that's one scenario that could happen.
That is what happened with Nixon, and that is the thing about is Drag taking off?
Yeah,
that's what he posted.
All right, man. Yeah, thanks for coming by, Dragnot. I'm only going to be on for another 13 minutes. Thank you so much for coming by. Always a blast having you here, dude.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, if anybody wants to just come and chat with me, I'll be in Discord. That's probably the easiest way to get in touch with me. If not, just shoot me an email, dragnot@gmail.com, and I might check it next week. So other than that, y'all have a good night. Hope y'all were thoroughly entertained by that.
Oh, it was awesome. I wish I'd have kept him here longer for you. I got mad.
Hey, thanks, Dragnot, and I'll see you in Discord, man.
Yep, I'll catch you later.
Yeah, good night, man.
I think we scared Drag off with the politics, man.
Yeah. And I usually don't discuss politics here, but it's good to talk about it sometimes. The thing I like most about what I'm doing on YouTube now is I'm not as obsessed about politics as I used to be. I used to be really bad, and I hardly ever think about it anymore. I'm too busy doing this, so it's been a really good thing for me mentally to not be so obsessed about the atrocities that are going on today. I got in a bad place. No Dapple was a great win for us. We beat Obama, and then Trump came in and was like, yeah, fuck all of y'all. So I mean, it put me in a bad place. So it has been a good thing that I don't obsess about politics, and I recommend all of you guys to step away from it. We're gonna beat this motherfucker some way or another. Step away from it. Don't obsess. It's better for your soul. And souls don't obsess, but you know what I mean.
Real quick, I want to talk to one of my favorite idiots in live chat, GPH.
Yeah, he has been such a fan lately. I mean,
yeah, and he says something that is just total ignorance. He says in chat, Nixon resigned, he was removed, which is true. But then he goes on to say, also, impeachment doesn't mean Trump is removed from office.
No, it doesn't.
Well, no, but it can mean that though. See, what it is it's the two houses of Congress. First, the trial goes on in the House of Representatives, and then the Senate takes it up and decides whether he will be removed from it. Either they convict him or they don't. If he's convicted, then he's removed from office. So impeachment can mean that he's removed from office, GPH.
And if he's beaten in 2020, he's going to prison. He's going to prison because the statute of limitations will not be over. He's going to prison.
Oh, and by the way, yes, GPH, I am a buffoon. I'm a self-proclaimed buffoon.
And yes, Nixon resigned because the Republican Congress, kind of like what's happening now, was completely on his side. And then the impeachment proceedings started, and guess what? They turned once the evidence came out. That is why I say we must impeach, because where they're staunch now, they have to be. Once the public knows, well, it's a different story because re-election is everything.
He's a fucking dude. He's doubling down in chat now. He said, so I was right. No, impeachment doesn't mean removal. Yes, impeachment can mean removal. It's part of the process. It hasn't happened the first two times that a president was impeached, but it can result in the removal from office.
Only reason it didn't happen with Nixon is because the Republicans told him if he didn't resign, he will be removed from office.
Yep, absolutely. They all went to his office. The leadership went to his office and said, basically, look, man, resign. It's going to be bad for you.
Yeah, there was no way they could not see. The House votes to basically press charges, and then they send it to the Senate where they have a trial. So when the House presses charges, that's impeachment. You're right. That's not going to get you out of office. Then it goes to the next step, you idiot, and that step can get you out of office. Read the Constitution, learn about the country you live in, and stop being a fucking moron.
Yeah, I mean, and GPH, I mean, maybe you should work on your communication skills if you think you're right, because your statement was also impeachment doesn't mean Trump is removed from office, when in fact it can mean that.
Yeah, it can mean that. Conviction of impeachment does mean that, actually. If you are convicted of impeachment, you're gone. You're out.
Like maybe you use your words.
Right. Pence is worse in a lot of ways, but Pence will never win in 2020.
Never win. And the other thing is, too, people are afraid of Pence, and some of his ideas are pretty scary. But just from a standpoint of being presidential, who would be, Trump or Pence? I mean, like, there's just no.
Yeah. When I say that he's worse from an atheist point of view, right? So, yeah, when it comes from an atheist point of view, Mike Pence is like a Matt Powell type vice president. I mean, we basically got Matt Powell as our vice president. If Mike Pence had his way, he'd be right there with Matt Powell, killing those gay people. He already tried to send them to electroshock therapy. I mean, he has no qualms with that type of shit. So, in that sense, much worse. But in a sense of what's better for our country, we can take a year and a half of him until he gets kicked the fuck out in the next election, or a year, or however long it is, because he'll never win an election.
Has GPH ever been in a hangout?
I don't. I've offered him to come up in here, and he's a coward. He's.
And I say he, and I don't even know if he's a he. He could. I mean, I don't know what his gender is.
They are a troll and are too afraid to come speak. Anybody can come speak to the Raging Atheist. If you can't do it on the night that I'm doing it, then you can do it the next time. I got an email that's public. I got a Twitter that's public. Quite easy.
I don't understand. What does this mean? I don't even understand how this is related to what we were just talking about. Now GPH posts, did you read Trump tweet on LGBT, you idiot?
No. So what?
Yeah,
for every Trump tweet, there's an opposite but equal Trump tweet. Decipher that.
Yeah, so I think it was today that Trump sent out a tweet about, oh, yeah, we should be happy for the LGBTQ people. And look at these other countries where they're killing LGBTQ people.
My God.
Where a lot of people have pointed out, well, you're also the asshole who's banned trans people from serving in the military. So you can't really say anything.
Oh yeah, and appointing far-right Supreme Court justices whose agenda is not only to overturn Roe v. Wade, but overturn gay marriage.
There you go.
So don't give me some shit about how Donald Trump is a man of the LGBTQ. That community split on rationality rules. They ain't split on Donald Trump.
Well, the funny thing is he can tweet whatever he wants on any subject, and then he'll go to one of his rallies and say the exact fucking opposite.
Yeah. Or there's 10 other tweets that say 10 other different things on the same topic. There's a Trump tweet for everything. You haven't seen that meme?
Did you see his tweet the other day where in the tweet he admitted that Russia helped get him elected?
No, I haven't seen that. That would be brilliant.
I mean, and of course he probably just was being an idiot and fucked up.
I've kind of removed myself from politics. Like I'm kind of coordinating a little bit. Like right now, I don't know how much time I'm going to have, but I'm going to be working with Bernie Sanders this summer. But I'm staying out of politics. Like I don't post it hardly ever on Facebook no more. I don't argue with damn Republicans no more. Yeah, I'm very peaceful when it comes to politics right now. It's when I get drunk and go into Brett Keene's stream and they start talking, justifying putting little children in cages. You can't be cool with that kind of shit.
Hey, so GPH is now making another just wonderful argument in the live chat. He says, as far as Roe v. Wade goes, he says Roe wanted it overturned. Well, so yeah, I don't remember that part of the judicial system where one of the parties wants the decision that was part of the case wants the decision overturned. So, well, let's just overturn it. That's not how it works, GPH.
No, it's kind of not how our country works. He goes on to say Jane Doe rejected her lesbianism and became a Christian.
Lesbianism?
Lesbianism?
Like GPH, you need to GPH your way to some reality.
Yes, lesbianism is a dogma. It's a dogma.
Like these trolls are so funny, man. They make life interesting.
It's the cult. It's the lesbianism. It's the cult of cunt.
It's what I was trying to explain to Sassy. It was like, man, you're gonna develop such a thick skin. Like this shit isn't even gonna bother you. You're gonna sit around and laugh at these fuckers, and you're gonna think back to when it actually bothered you, and you're gonna be like, man, how did I become so tough? Because you just get used to it. You're like, fuck, man. Like I'll tell them most times, like, dude, you gotta up your trolling game because you ain't no Corey, But you had to be around for a long time to know who Corey is. Corey was a good troll. What you do, GPH, is just kind of pathetic. It's kind of pathetic.
You could even take that qualifier out of there. Take the kind of.
It's just pathetic.
Hey, speaking of abortion,
I'd be so mad. I'd be fucking pacing. I'd be like, that motherfucker. I'm gonna fucking say something to that bitch.
Hey, do you remember? Gosh sakes, it might even be like 15 years ago now, or at least 10. The South Park episode where they were talking about stem cell research, and Christopher Reeves was on there. The guy and like he's getting interviewed by Larry King and talking about how stem cell research was helping him, gain his use of his legs back and everything. And then Larry King says, "Well, how does it work? Like how do they use the stem cells to improve your condition?" And Christopher Reeves goes, "Well, here, I'll show you." And he reaches under the desk and he pulls a fetus out and starts eating it. He's like, "See, we just get the stem cells directly into my system." And
Yeah, I remember that shit. I was actually mad at that episode because Christopher Reeves was a childhood hero of mine. I mean, I literally fucked myself up as a kid thinking I was Superman. Tied a little sheet around my neck so I had a cape, and I jumped off the top step, the top of the stairs, and I didn't fly.
Yeah. Go figure, huh?
Yeah, I didn't fly.
I mean, is there any male person here in the hangout and in live chat that hasn't at one time in their childhood had a bath towel tied around her neck?
Oh man, you should have seen the getup I had my daughter in the other night, man. She was Wonder Woman in bed clothes. I mean, sheets, and we had that shit working. It was good. It was good. I got creative. It was awesome. I should have put those pictures on Twitter. I just started putting pictures of my daughter on Twitter. Why not? Fuck it. They threaten her without saying her, so maybe they'll stop threatening her when they see how adorable she is.
Yeah, that one picture I saw, she's pretty adorable.
Yeah, she's a cutie.
Which I mean, and then you look at you and you go, "Wait a minute, how did that happen?"
Yeah, I still wonder myself, honestly. She could be as good looking as me, but she's close. She's close. But I get your point.
Oh, okay. No, you didn't get my point at all.
I'm not really conceited. It's a defense mechanism that I put up to push people away. I joke. I'm old. I have no hair.
So what do you say, Raging?
I think it's about that time for the night.
Yeah. Let me ask you this real quick. When's the last time you shot some hoops, man? Can you still go do that with the leg?
No.
No, you don't.
It's not so much the leg. I could. The leg wouldn't stop me yet. I smoke too much and I haven't played. The last time I played, right? So it was, let me think. Ronnie was 2, so about 7 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I got on we're playing street ball, just me one-on-one with this kid, 16 years old. I'm like, I'm going to kick this kid's ass. I didn't score a point. And I could barely make it past 3 points. And I was like, fuck this shit.
Well, at that time, 7 years ago, had you not played in a while too?
Oh yeah, no, I hadn't played in years and years.
Oh,
After prison, I stopped playing basketball. I wasn't supposed to be playing basketball in prison because of my ankle, but I kept testing it and I kept spraining it, and I kept tearing more ligaments. So I eventually made it a lot worse than it would have been had I not played. So I'm really never supposed to play again. All right, Carlton, have a good night. Thanks for coming in.
I mean, here's like you talk about being in prison. Okay, so 3 main things that went on in prison as far as for entertainment: basketball, pinochle, and chess. Okay, now I will never, as much as I like both of these games, just because it was something I did a bunch of in prison, and I don't want to, I will never ever again in my life play pinochle, and I will never ever in my life again play chess. But I cannot get away from, even at my age and being, I gotta go play basketball. I mean, it was a love.
I do want to start shooting again. I just run around too much because of my ankle.
Yeah, I mean that same thing with me. Like I don't get into any like if a bunch of guys are doing something and they need the old guy to step in just so it's a 3-on-3 or something, I can do that and just play real light. But yeah, that's all I do. I take my ball, a couple balls with me, go down to the park, shoot hoops, just go through the paces and do some drills and stuff like that. It's just, I mean, one of the most satisfying sounds in life to me has always been the sound. Yeah. Just and I won't leave the court.
Feeling, I don't think.
I won't leave the court. It's got to be a swisher to leave. You can't leave on a miss. You got to leave on a make, and it's got to be a swish.
Yeah. That's how I was always. I love that sound. I love that sound, man. It was a great sound. I missed that sound. It was the sound of your enemies' hearts crushing.
Yeah. And the funny thing is okay. So, many times in my life, including now, I've carried some extra weight, but I'm 55 now, so I don't have it the way I did. But man, when I was younger, I had everything: behind the back, stutter step, fadeaway jumper, all that. And even when I was like overweight, and here this little round white boy going out there and putting moves on people, and then just looking at the looks on their face, man, like it's just hilarious.
I got that at prison. Like people. I mean, it led to fights because when you're playing, you can't. At least I can't really just be worse than I am. So it would just be easy for me, and I'd make him look stupid, and it led to fights. Like this white boy making me look stupid, and I'm like, I'm trying. I was an all-state in fucking North Carolina. I mean, North Carolina. The basketball state in the country. I don't care what anybody else says. North Carolina is the basketball state in the country. But something you said, we didn't have pinochle. We did play pinochle, but that wasn't one of our major things. We had chess, we had basketball, and my North Carolina peoples, we had spades.
Spades, yeah.
Spades. I mean, and that's the game. I can't play spades no more because of it. Because we did it just so much, hour after hour, just gambling, hustling. We used to hustle spades, man. Oh, it was. We made bank.
Yeah, I mean, pinochle was the big one, then spades, and then to a way lesser extent, hearts.
Up here, they don't play spades. They play what is it called? Rook. Is it rook? Some weird
yeah, I know what
Michigan shit. Fuck, I can't think of. My family has tournaments once a year for this fucking game. It's like spades, but it's not spades.
Did you ever play any poker on the inside?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm a big poker player. I haven't played in a while, but I used to be pretty good at it. I'm a really good blackjack player. I can go to
and it's like fucking dude would run a table in the day room, and then you'd be gambling your commissary and shit. Like,
oh yeah. And my dad was pretty good about keeping me up on. I mean, I didn't really have to worry about much. I always had money. My dad was pretty good. I think my dad felt guilty for leaving me in jail for 9 months. He taught me a life lesson. He told me that if I got arrested again after the first time, that he wasn't going to get me out, and he didn't. And I sat in there for 9 months, and I think he felt guilty about that because he watched me lose my fucking mind. And what dad wouldn't? I actually commend him for staying strong and not getting me out because it changed me. I'm not the person. I'm the person now because of the person I was then, and I love it. I wouldn't want to be any other way.
I mean, I got to tell you, I haven't had any trouble. Like all these guys are talking about, like how, man, I can't wait to get back out there, and talking like they're going to go right back to what they were doing. And I'm sitting there the whole time going, I'm going to get the fuck out of here, and you're never going to hear from my ass again. And I haven't had any problem being on paper because I am not going to do anything that will ever make me go back to that miserable fucking place again. I mean,
yeah, I had that mentality. My problem is I had the gang mentality. Even when I went to Right Turn and I stopped messing with the gang, I still had the mentality. So when I got out and I got here in Battle Creek, Michigan, which happens to be strife with gangs, I fell right into that. And I didn't run with a gang, but I ran with a crowd that had the mentality. And for a few years, like I never got arrested again, and I never went back to jail, but I should have. It took a few years for me to deprogram myself and start to become a better person. When I first got out and I got up here, I was really angry. I was mad that I wasn't in North Carolina anymore. I was mad that I couldn't talk to my friends anymore, my connections anymore, and I was really mad that about the Native American shit. It was right, pretty much in Right Turn is when all of that happened, and I moved 4 days after I got out of Right Turn, so I had all of that anger in me, not being accepted. I would have stayed in North Carolina had I been accepted, and I would have moved to the reservation, but I didn't get accepted, and it hurt me, and I was angry, and I hurt people, but not physically, just mentally and just verbally, and just using my bigness to intimidate people. It took a long time for me to get out of that mentality of everybody that looks at you is looking at you disrespectfully, or the mentality of having to sleep with one eye open. I don't know if your prison was like that, but mine was fucked up, and you had to be aware at all times or they were going to get you. So it took me a while to get out of that, to sleep again fully and not be able to wake up as soon as I hear somebody coming. People that's been inside don't understand that kind of shit,
Yeah, and the thing is, without you know my story, I'm not going to go into details on air, but I deserve to be there. And the fact of the matter is, I still can't believe that I only did as much time as I did, because I should have been there longer.
Had they caught us with one gun, and one gun they were looking for in specific, we didn't realize what the gun was, but it was a government issued gun to an FBI agent. Had they found that gun, I might still be in prison. Like I was going to federal prison if they found that gun. They didn't. We sold it. really sold it like 2 days before they arrested us. Really, really lucky. I might still be in prison. It's fucked up. Feel bad for that too, because he was a friend. That kid was a friend. He was a friend, and we were like, his dad's got a lot of guns. Drugs make you do crazy shit.
That's one thing, and this will be the last comment I make. You know, I'm gonna have to get on out of here.
I gotta get to bed.
You got a lot to do, yeah. I mean, one thing I think is fucked up about, being, a former prison inmate, and then you serve your time, you serve your parole, and you pay your debt to society, and that's not to say that you've paid your debt to whoever your victims were in many cases, because that sometimes can never be repaid. But you get out, you pay your debt to society, and now if you have a felony conviction, you can never own a gun again.
Mm-hmm.
And in some states you can't vote. To me, that's fucked up, man. Like,
I think had I stayed in North Carolina, I wouldn't be able to vote there. I could, unless they've changed it now. But because I'm in Michigan, I can.
Some of them have bills that they're trying to change that shit. Yeah. I think prisoners should be able to vote. They live in the country. I think while they're in prison, there should be polling places at the prison. They should be allowed to go and vote.
I agree, and it's controversial. I know a lot of people, oh, you want felons to vote? I'm like, are they American citizens? What does the Constitution say? But Republicans argue that we don't have a right to vote. And I disagree wholeheartedly, but that's their argument. Is, oh, nobody has a right to vote. Yeah, we do. But
yeah. Well, hey, let me just God
wants to say something before we leave too, but go ahead, John.
Oh yeah, God, let's go ahead, buddy. I was about to say, shut the fuck up. You talk too much.
I know.
But no, I don't understand prison. But my cousin, he served in the military, and he had like the experience of coming back home and dealing with the fact that he would keep one eye open because of that military experience. And then there's I didn't speak earlier, but about the abortion thing. Because John, you said because how Saintism is religious. Well, that's helping now because there's sues against I think Indiana because under religious protection by the Satanic Temple, saying oh, we don't need to get notification or something for abortion before we get one. And I don't know, I think it's pretty cool that the moment the Satanic Temple become recognized as a religion, they're using it right away to protest against religious ideas.
I
rambled.
Yeah,
you're good, man.
I want to study. Is it the Satanic one that's the political organization?
Yeah, the Satanic Temple is more political.
All right.
Is that the Levian Satanists?
Oh no, that's the.
Yeah, the Levians are more the traditional Satanists, right?
Well, no, so the Levian Satanists are the one are atheists.
Yeah, both atheists, but
so the Satanists you're talking about are actual Satanists, then, Godless?
No, they're not at all. They reject everything, magic, everything. It's more of a kind of a non-profit organization, I guess, helping the community.
Yeah, they're the ones that take the statues to parks that allow public areas that allow Christian statues and monuments. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. So what I didn't quite catch, I don't think, the other side of it. I understand what they're doing, but what was the other side of it?
What side did you catch?
Well, I think I understand what the Satanists were doing. Do you see what the Satanists are doing as a good thing or a bad thing? You're a Satanist, right?
Yeah, I am.
All right, that's what I thought. So all right, so I'm actually for I've always been of the opinion that a freedom of religion is a freedom from religion, and if you're gonna have freedom of religion and you're gonna allow religion, then you got to allow them all. So like that would be Ocean's Thor, that would be Satan, that would be everything. So like I'm with them on their political messaging, definitely. I just haven't really studied them too much. I saw one Vice, I think it was on Vice that I saw where they were in a public park, and it was beautiful. I loved it. I was like, man, we need this more. Like, why don't they come here and do this shit here, especially up in Grand Rapids?
Yeah.
Although Grand Rapids isn't the worst part anymore because of Matt Powell. You know, he's further north. Fucker, he's just ruining Michigan. But yeah, I need to have you on, and we need to explore that more when we have more time. Every time I have you on, it's like a big hangout. So I think we should have a one-on-one where I can really talk to you about that. Because I really I had a Satanist on once, Wolf something or another.
Yeah, he was on with me when I first came on.
He never came back on, and I'm like,
yeah, I know, it was kind of sad.
Hey, Godless, so you said it was Temple of Satan you were talking about?
The Satanic Temple.
Yeah, okay, because the person I was thinking of, Anton LaVey, he's the founder of the Church of Satan.
Yeah, Church of Satan.
Right. Yeah, and they're similar to what you were saying. Like they're atheists and they don't believe in any kind of magic or anything. And I got to say too, it sounds like the organization you're talking about similar. I have to say though, I'm a little perturbed by the co-opting of the term Satanist, because the thing is atheists have been taking shit for years from theists, about, well, oh, you're an atheist, well, what, you worship Satan, and try and say that we're literal Satanists. And then Anton LaVey and other organizations come along and co-opt the term Satanism. And I understand they were just trying to take the power out of it and be tongue-in-cheek and be contrarian about it. But it kind of did a disservice, because these idiots out there, they see Church of Satan or Satanic Temple, and they're not thinking atheists. They're thinking, oh, you guys are going around worshiping the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't met someone like that who say atheists worship Satan and stuff. I
have.
Oh man, I get it all the time. It's either we're in a religion, as GPH is implying in the chat, or we're Satanists. It's one or the other. It's either atheism is the religion, and as GPH is saying, atheism sure has a lot of denominations. I'm so intelligent because I'm stupid. Or it's you eat the brains of babies. I've literally gotten that comment at least a dozen times.
Finally, GPH said something true in the chat. He said there are Satanists that worship Satan. Yes, that was my point. Is that Satanism was the worship of Satan up until these atheists were. Yeah.
Wow, you're gonna get a fucking Nobel Prize for intelligence, GPH. You should come on here and blow us all away with your fantastic arguments.
Yeah,
I'm shaking.
I don't see him doing that.
Never. He won't. I mean, say what you want about Sky Out. At least he'll come in and take that ass whooping.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was Gooseman's he had a live thing yesterday, and I hopped in and see what it was, and I never realized that they hate Jews. They don't like them at all. And
who hates the Jews?
The new IFB or whatever. They're the Holocaust.
Oh, yeah.
I was I never realized it's this bad. And some of them was yeah, the Holocaust didn't happen. I'm okay, that's kind of bad. But they were saying the synagogue of Satan, and I'm
yeah, they're anti-Semitic as fuck.
Yeah.
As fuck. That doesn't get talked about enough. I pointed it out once with Matt, and he tried to deny it, and then I pointed it out several times with Steven Anderson, and it's nobody really ever talks about that. But yeah, they're definitely anti-Semitic.
But there was a Gooseman and some, I don't know, I think he was a preacher or something in their organization. And I was they're preaching this. This kid's talking about hating Jews and how they're like evil, and I'm like, this isn't good at all for this 12-year-old kid or whatever or something. No, I know I'm young, but like, no, it's not right.
How old are you, Godless?
I'm not gonna say, but I'm like below 18.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but like
that's actually pretty cool that you come on. a lot of younger people would probably be. I would think I would have been scared.
Yeah, but now that he's told us he's below 18, and I'm starting to rethink some of my language choices earlier.
no, it's fine. I didn't want to tell my age or whatever. I thought my voice would give it away. I was like, I don't really.
Well, I don't always want to like judge people's age and stuff like that off of their voice because
Yes, you just never know. I thought maybe he was a bit younger, but
yeah, we've got our own our version of Guzman.
Oh yes,
not as young though.
We've got our atheist Guzman here,
or Satanist Guzman.
Yeah,
6'6".
The anti-Guzman.
The anti-Guzman. Well, I mean, I got to tell you, Godless is certainly sounds a lot more well thought out than Guzman does. I can tell you.
Yeah, it's actually nice. Here, the more you speak out, and the easier it gets, man.
There's so many like knockoffs with like 1611. That's just like so many accounts. Yesterday on that live stream, it's like 1611. I'm like, why are there so many people 1611?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, so hey,
it's super late and I can't even think anymore.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Let me say one more time. You know, tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Eastern on Great Debate Community Channel. Nakasuchi's going to be there with me. We're going to talk about both of his channels, learn some more about them. So, you know, you people that already know him, you know, people that don't know of him yet, send them over there tomorrow night. And then you're doing something earlier tomorrow, aren't you?
Yeah, 4 p.m. Modern Day Debate. Praise coming for you. It'll be fun. I enjoy praise. I mean, honestly, you can't whip praise as bad as Dr. Josh did. So, you know, I'll be getting sloppy seconds, but it's okay.
Wow.
Hopefully he's still in the chat. But yeah, I am gonna get out of here because my ears hurt. I've had these headphones on all day long. So yeah, great stream. I appreciate you all showing up. I wish I'd have let the rabbi stay longer. But then again, I need to remind my audience every once in a while that I'm the motherfucking raging atheist. If I can speak. It's late. I need to go to bed. I'll see you guys tomorrow.